uwager.lv, Sportsbook, and Casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a happy
Hump Day
edition live here on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and, of course, Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. How do we start off this show as we always do on a Monday, Wednesday night? Anytime we have breaking news when it comes to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, or, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. At 9:30, we will have Powers on Sports Podcast, Mr. Jason Powers on, of course, No Quarter Given podcast of the Buck Power Podcasting Network on. And then Turnbuckle Talk returns at 10:15, 10:20 with former XPW announcer Mr. Mark Mancini and, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, newest Pittsburgh radio personality Ralph Williams. And then, as always, we'll take your phone calls, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. As we await Mr. Leo Haggerty, I see him right there. We'll go on to the comments really quick, get this out of the way, because I don't want you guys to yell at me tonight for neglecting you. So let's go ahead and get you involved. Troy says, first,
this guy sucks.
Means your last. Hurry up, bro. You're starting off really well there. Eric says, Rays better win today. It would be, I guess he's saying the world's laughing stock at this point for the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, losing 2 now. Everybody's kind of panicking at this point. I'm not ready to panic. Yes, they're losing to the worst team in Major League Baseball, but that happens with a hot team like the Oakland A's. So, of course, they're playing right now. We'll keep you up to date on that situation. I don't think it's a must-win game, Eric, especially with the Rays being 48-22. Just saying, Rays for real. We are a joke. 48-22 is not a joke, and I usually don't do this to you. But Eric, I got to do it to you. Let's go, Rays. Absolutely. Hey, guys, what's going on? Christopher, Troy is on. Eric, make or break season losing to the worst team in baseball. No. Christopher Cole, he's saying hi to, I can't believe Tampa would actually allow USF to build their stadium on campus. Fowler is ghetto, bro. You're starting it off so well here, Troy, already just being the troll that you are.
Shut up!
But, of course, they did get approved for their on-campus stadium. Of course, we have a new NBA champion in the Denver Nuggets. We have a new NHL Stanley Cup final champion in the Vegas Golden Knights. So congratulations to everybody involved in that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and go out to the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Here we go. Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, Leo Haggerty. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Great camera shot as always. And no Harry tonight, so we're not going to be joined by him. He's out there traveling. Are you still in South Carolina, my friend?
Welcome. No, my friend, I am in Tampa, in my studio, so to speak, as you can see.
Yes.
Surrounded by 4 walls. You can see 3 of them and a roof. Peter, do you believe how many people have already jumped off the Rays boat? I mean, come on.
I mean, they lose 2 games to the Oakland A's, and I get it. They're the worst team in baseball. But, Leo, this happens, and check this out with the A's at the end of the day. The last 4 series, they won 2 out of 3 versus the Atlanta Braves. That's a good team. They swept 3 games with the Marlins in Miami. Well, they were swept in 3 games. Then they won 2 out of 3 at Pittsburgh, swept the Brewers in Milwaukee, which is not a bad team, and now 2-0 versus the Rays with 2 games left. So the opportunity is there for the Rays to salvage this series. But at the end of the day, this team is coming in hot. On top of it, their fan base has been hot. They've been doing a reverse a stand against the ownership, how they're going to show up, how they're not the problem. So there's a lot of momentum, right? I mean, Harry the Greek always talks about it. The mo is in sports, and the momentum right now is with the Oakland A's. That's not to say that the Rays are a terrible team. Come on now, Leo. They're 48-22.
Peter, that's the bottom line. When you're 26 games over 500, guess what? You're going to lose 50 to 60 to 70 games.
Yeah.
That's as Earth, Wind, and Fire said, that's the way of the world, baby. That's just the way it's going to be. And think about this, Peter. We're not talking about hockey. We're not talking about NFL. We're talking Major League Baseball. We're not talking about the NBA. 60 losses is a great season. Think about that now. 60 losses is a great season. That means you won 100 games. So, hey, you're going to have these stretches. And again, what people don't realize, they played Sunday, flew out. Yeah, and you know what? I don't care what you say. It takes a while to get used to that West Coast, because now all of a sudden it's, you're getting up at what you think is 9 in the morning and it's 6 in the morning. So yeah, it takes a while.
It is. It definitely takes a toll also. And again, they're paid just like you always say about other NFL teams, whether you're bad or good, they're also paid. So it's like their World Series at the end of the day. And we talk about this reverse boycott. Let's go ahead and start there, because I've been very critical of the ownership here with the Rays, but it's even worse with the Oakland A's. I mean, what do you make of that whole situation? Do you think eventually ownership will sell, or are they inclined, is Major League Baseball inclined to once again take a professional sports team out of Oakland and put them in Vegas?
You know what, Peter? The biggest problem right now is the Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup, because Vegas is proving it's a sports city. Yeah, they got football, they got hockey, baseball, or the NBA. They're next. So this is what Tampa Bay was back 20 years ago, when everybody said, okay, if you don't give me this, we're going to Tampa Bay. Yeah. So, but I'll tell you what, if all of a sudden fans show up in Oakland, you have a tough time moving them, because that's the bottom line. If you got 2,000 fans, yeah, okay, move. You got 20,000 fans showing up, okay, you got a problem. You can't say, well, we're not getting fan support.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're on the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Yeah, the Rays just 4 runs on 12 hits. Of course, 3 of those from Jose Siri. He has been the story of the year so far. He's out of the lineup tonight. But what do you make of this young man finally getting the opportunity and really taking full advantage of it, and being a source of run support in this series?
You know what, Peter? It's a different guy every night for the Rays, and that's what's amazing. You got to give Dave Cashin a whole lot of credit, because he's getting the right guys in the game. Yeah. And again, he's mixing and matching. He's doing this. But I'll tell you what, if 3 out of every 5 days you're going with McClanahan, Glasnow, and Eflin, I'll tell you what, you're going to win at least 1 and 2 of those. You're not going to see any of these 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 game losing streaks, because that pitching is there.
You're absolutely right. And again, Tyler Glasnow on the bump tonight. His last outing was Friday, of course, against the Rangers in the 8-3 win. I mean, how important do you think he is to that rotation? Because you already got McClanahan. Eflin, I think that's an anomaly, Leo word, if I can say that. And if you get Glasnow back to full strength, I mean, how important do you think he is to that rotation going forward?
You know what, Peter, I'm going to disagree with a little bit, because Ken Podolak, our guy that's up in Philly that covers the Eagles and also covers the Phillies, he said they didn't want this guy to get away because Eflin was a guy, you know what, he may be a number 2 guy in the rotation, but now he's a number 3 guy pitching like a number 2. And that's huge, to have that happen. Again, Peter, I'm going to go back to Joe Madden.
Well, you hold that thought, because we got a special guest here. In fact, let's go ahead and get his intro on. Here we go.
Uh-oh. Couldn't stay away.
Could not. Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
Oh, brother, I'm just sitting here in a really, really nice element in the sports book up here. I'm at a Harrah's up here in Atlantic City, and I'm getting ready to watch the Tampa Bay Rays tonight. But I bet a lot of money on them.
Well, did you bet on them or bet against them? Because you were the guy that said, and I'm going to go ahead and quote you on this.
Always bet the home underdog.
You wanted, okay, so you're betting on the A's at this point, but you wanted to
No,
see.
I bet the A's. I bet the A's 2 nights in a row.
Okay.
But tonight it's going to be a little different story.
So you're
Stop
betting
it,
on the
please.
Rays with glass now. Okay, well, I was going to go ahead and say this because before you left, the last show you did, you wanted to see how this team would respond with adversity. Let's see how they respond tonight. So you think they're going to respond with the win, right?
Well, tonight I do. I actually have them winning pretty big. I didn't take a -2, whatever the hell it is, 250. Hang on, let me tell you what it is.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Tampa's -250, 260 for every 100. So you have to lay 260 to win 100.
Wow.
So what I did is I took that Tampa would not only win the game, but they got to win the game by a run and a half, meaning 2 runs or more. And that brings that considerably down to -140.
Sounds like a parlay happening there.
Yeah, it sounds like a parlay. Now, Harry, just knowing you and you doing this show for so many years and doing the over-under, you usually stay away from parlays. What gives, my friend?
It's not really a parlay on that one. What I did was I took a minus a run and a half. How you doing, Leo? And when you do that, then instead you're not having to lay as much juice. And that's why I went ahead and did that. But I also tied it up with the I'm already alive. I took San Francisco today.
Okay.
And I parlayed it also with the Tampa Bay Rays tonight for a 2-teamer. And then I had straight wager money on Frisco as well as Tampa. And Frisco, by the way, I don't know if anybody knew this or not. They came back in the 8th inning and the 9th, and they tied it up.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go to extra innings and won 8-5. So that was a lot of fun. Leo, how are you tonight, buddy?
Good stuff, man.
It's nice to see 3 of the 4 horsemen on tonight.
Well, and that's it. We definitely need to get a 4 horsemen show going on. Yours truly, along with Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, of course, Harry the Greek, and Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I think we should definitely do that segment. Call it the new 4 horsemen here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So I was surprised you said more runs, but you got Glass now pitching tonight. You have to feel good about that situation. Leo, you were saying something before here. He called. Go ahead and finish your thought process.
Yeah, I asked Joe Madden. I said, Joe, how much of the game is pitching? He said 90%.
Mm-hmm.
Dummy me, I go, what's the other 10%? You know what Joe said? Pitching. So you get pitching, you're going to win a whole lot of games.
Well, and I tell you right now, it kind of reminds me of my former professor at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, Mr. Matt Salmon at the time, who's worked for the Tampa Bay Lightning and other various outlets out there. And he said the 3 things you talk about in this town, the Bucks, and the Bucks. And he said there's another thing you talk about in this town.
I would strongly disagree with that now.
Well, now, but back then, and
absolutely back then.
This is aging me a little bit. Like 2003, it was just the Bucks. The Rays were just starting out. The Lightning kind of in their heyday.
Breaking news.
Yes, what's up?
It looks like Toronto. It's the bottom of the 8th. Toronto's winning 3-0, but Baltimore right now in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs has a runner on first and second. Big pitching matchup between Verlander and Garrett Cole. They just tied it back up. The Yankees were losing 1-0. It is now 1-1.
Yeah, Garrett Cole has been their only saving grace on that pitching staff. We're on with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. And, of course,
and the Sports Web.
Yes, that is right. Correct. The co-host of the Sports Web and the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. So let me ask you here, Leo, because USF, and this is the conversation coming in, I want to get your thoughts on this, Harry. How important was it for USF to get approved for that on-campus stadium, in your opinion?
I think it was really, really important, to be honest with you. And it's going to be a good thing.
And what about you, Leo?
Oh, it's huge. All of a sudden now, you got kids that can fall out of their dorm room and go to a football game.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, go look at what happened at Central Florida. When UCF put that erector set stadium up, which is pretty much, that's it. Stands, but you get behind that, it's like, whoa, what the heck's this? All of a sudden, they're getting people because they're close to campus. And I'll tell you what, Peter, we attended the UCF-USF game, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago down there. It was the loudest game I've ever been at, ever.
Yes.
I mean, and I've been in some crazy ones. I've been at Clemson, South Carolina. I've been in some bowl games. Nothing compared to the sound that was coming out of that game. And remember, UCF won it on like the next to last play of the game. So, yeah, it was a great game. And, on campus. Gotta be. It's gotta be.
Definitely got to be. All right, let's switch gears to the Bucks here. Harry, you want to stay on for a little bit longer because I
could have stayed on. It's too bad that I didn't have the link because I don't know if it would actually come in or not because this is quite the spectacle. You could see the boards behind us.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and produce on air here. Let me see if I can get you the link and let's see what you're doing and where you're at right now.
I'll tell you what. Go ahead and send me the link, and if it doesn't go through very well, then what I'll do is I'll just call.
Harry's close to steel pair. Watch out for that diving horse, Harry.
All right, so there you go, Harry. So here comes the link right now, my friend. We'll see you in a little bit here if it comes through, all right?
You got it. Bye.
Appreciate you, buddy, right there. Harry the Greek producing on air as we speak. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about, so we should have him on in just a little bit if it goes through.
Wait, Peter, what are we going to do with Harry and no kidding?
I'm sorry. Well, we're just going to have to make do for it. That's what we're going to have to do at the end of the day. But we'll make.
I thought I cleaned that up rather well, don't you?
Oh, you did absolutely clean it up very well. All right, let's switch gears with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They actually restructured Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. They added 4 void years for Winfield and 3 for Wirfs, which is just over $3 million in cap space. And I think we got Harry right now. So let's get out to him. Already got his intro. All right, well, look at this. Look at this shot here. Harry the Greek, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Hey, guys, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Is everything good?
Everything is great, my friend. Looks like you're having a good time there. It looks like you're definitely about to make some money here.
There you go.
There you go.
Look at all the TVs. Just watch this.
Look at that. All right.
They just go on forever.
Yeah.
And
you know what, Harry? I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. We're planning on going out to Vegas for the NCAA conference tournaments because there's 4 conference tournaments that they play in Vegas and Henderson in that weekend. So yeah, we're gonna jump out, my son and I, and Ronnie Dupree, who's an old coaching friend of mine. We're going to jump out to Vegas next year. Ronnie went out last year. But, you got the West Coast Athletic. You got the Mountain West. You got all sorts of tournaments out there that one weekend.
Yeah, Vegas is always a really, really good time. I prefer Vegas over Atlantic City. I think there's a lot more things to do out there. But let me tell you something. It's fun out here. It is. I mean, let's just be honest. I come out for the action, guys. I mean, you have to. I had to come up. I had to make all my prop bets for the over-unders and, for the games that I like in the NFL this year. And it's just a lot of good times. But so far, I've been up here for a couple of days, made myself a few shekels, and let's just see what happens with Tampa Bay tonight.
Yeah, let's see definitely what the Tampa Bay Rays do tonight versus the Oakland A's. Very disappointing last 2 games against the worst team in Major League Baseball. But like you said, my friend, when a team's got the momentum at this point, that's the reason why the A's are doing what they're doing. Now, going back to the Bucks here, they restructured the contract, $3 million in cap space. Of course, they basically have all their draft picks signed besides Cody Mock. They signed them. A lot of people would say they're not only trying to re-sign or get their draft picks signed up, that they could possibly be in the market for a running back. Now, Leo Haggerty, let me go out to you. Do you think this is true, that they can still kick the tires on a Dalvin Cook or possibly an Ezekiel Elliott, yes or no?
You know what, Peter? If there wasn't such a bunch of negativity about the quarterback position, yeah, this becomes a very lucrative spot for a running back. But again, there's that big question mark at quarterback. And I really think that if Todd Bowles just comes out and says, hey, Baker Mayfield's our quarterback right now, boom, go to the training camp, or Trask is our quarterback. I'll tell you what, coaches, this is coach speak now. They say, oh, yeah, we want competition at every position. They want competition at every position but quarterback. They want that settled. And I can tell you what, Tom Brady could have been the worst player in training camp last year. He was going to start. Didn't matter what he did. So you know what? Let's take Todd Bowles' memo. Name your starter right at the end of minicamp. Name your starter going into training camp.
Let me ask you this, because the report just came out, and I was kind of giggling about this from Jeff Darlington, that it certainly seems like Baker Mayfield is the guy at this juncture. Going back to yesterday, I get it, it's mini camp. I know you have to work out some kinks, but Kyle Trask is throwing a lot of interceptions. This coaching staff, as you know, Harry and Leo have preached about taking care of the ball. So it certainly looks like at the end of the day, the writing is on the wall where it's going to be Baker Mayfield at the controls. What do you think, Leo? And then I'll go out to you, Harry.
You know what, Peter? It was Baker Mayfield all the way. I mean, let's be honest. You didn't just find the guy to come in and be a backup to Trask. And I'm going to be really honest with the listeners. You know what? Right now, a lot of your people that are covering teams, and I'm going to tell you, they're making up stories because nobody loses or keeps their job during minicamps. It doesn't happen, or during OTAs. When it happens is training camp when that equipment goes on. So right now, we're trying to dig up stories any way we can, and sometimes there's not a lot to dig up because there's not a lot happening right now. They're in shorts. Kyle Trask throws an interception. So what? Because he can't get a good look right now. But again, the biggest problem is they got named start right now.
Harry, what do you say here? Because I know you're a Trask guy, if you will, the Trask force of the Greekites out there. You say that it's going to be Baker Mayfield, but you also believe that Kyle Trask has an opportunity to start.
Well,
so again, what do you make of this report? And then also going back to the original question, if they freed up some money, would they still kick some tires on a possibility of going after a Cook who has not chosen a team yet and wants the best fit? So that could be money, that could be family, or is it Ezekiel Elliott, or do they keep that money and just sign their draft picks, in your opinion?
I think they're going to sign their draft picks. They're not going after Ezekiel, and they're definitely not going to be going after Dalvin Cook. I mean, if they are, that's just ridiculous. I'm just being right up front, honest with you. Leo brings up very valid points. Do I think it's supposed to be, Baker? Well, yeah, yes. But again, Leo, I want to remind everybody that they didn't sign this guy for starter money. They stole him for what they're actually going to let him play. He's actually making backup money, and in some cases, even less than backup money. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Baker Mayfield be QB1 by the start of the season. But they're going to forget about all the shit that's happened in the OTAs, because until they actually physically put pads on and they get him into the preseason, then you're going to find out who the clear-cut winner is going to be. And in my opinion, I still think it's up in the air, but they're going to give Kyle Trask every opportunity to be QB1. Does that mean he will be at the start of the season? That's yet to be determined.
All right.
You know what, Harry? I'll agree with you on that point, but I think right now it's Baker Mayfield's job to lose. And if he loses it, yeah, you're going to see Trask in a hurry. I agree with that.
Yep. All right, guys.
Anyway, gentlemen.
Yes, you got to go?
I know. Well, it's not so much I got to go, but I'm in a sports book, and it's kind of a no-no to be doing this in a sports book. But I'm Harry the Greek. What are they going to say? Nothing.
Nothing. All right. Appreciate you, brother. See you later.
Hey, man, much love. You guys have a good one. Leo, you look fantastic. I'll do this for you, Leo.
It's just not the same without you with the little kitty in front of you.
What, Leo?
It's just not the same without you with the little kitty in front of you.
That's true. You know, I am having a good time with that. Anyway, gentlemen, have a really good time. But there's a there's a crap table calling my name. You hear that? Hey, Harry, y'all keep your bets low and make your returns high. Peter, thank you for having me on. Leo, we love you. Much love. And to everybody out there, have a really good evening and stay safe.
All
Take
right,
care, brother.
there you go. The Greek right there was in the building. Now he's out of the building. We got Jason Powers on Sports Podcast coming up here in just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Baseball is a strange game. It doesn't matter who you play when you play them. Troy says, do you think Zion Williamson will quit the NBA to follow his dream of becoming a porn star? Real quick, I know that's off in left field, but what do you think of that situation and with that young man in itself? I mean, to get serious, he has not been able to stay healthy, and then he's got this bad PR coming. I mean, could you see a team like New Orleans basically move on and say, you know what, we've had enough. You're not able to stay healthy. You're too much of a distraction. Or do you have to keep that guy because he has so much potential at the end of the day?
I would sit down with Zion real quick and say, you got till September to lose 50 pounds. If you don't, we're cutting you loose. Because Charles Barkley hit the nail on the head. When he came into the league, Moses Malone said, you're fat. You can't play it that way. You got to lose 10 pounds this week. Next week, you got to lose another 10 pounds. Yeah. You know, Charles Barkley, he was the round mound of rebound. All of a sudden, we see a svelte Charles show up. And Moses Malone basically saved his career. Zion, I'm wondering how much internal motivation he has. Because I think that New Orleans should have done this last year instead of re-upping him, giving him a one-year contract and said, hey, here's what we're doing. We're giving you 1 year. Boom, that's it.
It may be the extracurricular activities, if you know what I mean. That's the reason why the man always has a hurt back, if you will. Just Google it, guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Or hamstrings. Just a little joke there. Welcome to Tampa, Dalvin Cook. Go sit back on the bench. Overrated Rashard White, says Troy. Peter Mom said, erase baseball fanatic on your POF profile because it drives the ladies away. That's not true, because I'm about to prove that point in a moment. Leo keeps talking about Carolina. I'm starting to think he's not a real Florida native. He's a phony, bro. Okay, enough of that.
This guy sucks.
Adam says, what a double play by the Mets. That was a bullet. Ben Cornett says, good evening, guys. What's going on?
Yeah.
Troy again. Yeah, thank you, Harry, for moving the camera because none of us know what a bar looks like. Again, Troy being a smartass. Devin White better practice or Savacia Dennis will take his job because Dennis already has 2 pick sixes. We shall see how that situation plays out. I know you're on a pitch count, so we'll read the rest of these comments and we'll get you out of here on that. How about the Diggs and Allen relationship? That's already messed up because Josh Allen has the Madden curse, so we all know what happens when an athlete is on the Madden cover. He doesn't do very well. Hey, Leo, looking great. That's knee right there. That's a woman. There you go, Troy. And we were talking baseball and football at the same time. So up yours, Mountain West, Pac-12, WCC, WAC tournaments in Vegas, MW tournament at Thomas and Mack, Pac-12 tournament is at T-Mobile, WCC is at Orleans, WAC is at Orleans as well. Big West tournament at the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. You guys will enjoy it. Ben, thanks a lot for the update.
Oh, yeah.
Nee says, love you, Peter Blake. Love you too, honey. Appreciate it. Troy says, Roger Shue is not here because it's past his bedtime. And David says, made it home safely from the Appalachian Trail. And I do believe that Baker will be our starting quarterback. Really quick, we'll get out to Jason Powers. Stand by. Last question, what do you make of the Devin White situation? He shows up for the voluntary photo. People assume the trade request is over with. He's not practicing. People say he's holding in. I don't know what the hell that means. Holding in what? Is he holding in his frustration? And then Todd Bowles says, no, he's not holding in. We're going to take it easy with them. So what do you make of this whole situation in the offseason with Mr. White?
Peter, we're looking at a guy in a contract here, correct?
Yes, we are.
Why in God's name would anybody going into a contract year even participate in a mini camp? Because what's the only thing to come out? You blow out a knee, you just threw away tens of millions of dollars. Hey, this is Marshawn Lynch. I'm here so I don't get fined. That's all he's going to do, show up. And I can tell you what, I'm listening to some of the Tampa Bay pundits today saying, you know, well, he needs to get his mind right. Fellas, it's a business. You got to understand. It's great. You got to do what's best for you.
Yep.
And then once that happens, then you get involved.
And I think he just went out. So that's it for Leo Haggerty. That's his pitching count for the night. Oh, there he is. Hold on. There we go. Go ahead, Leo. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You sound like you're saying something good, but I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. I think his sound went out. So hold on a sec. Are you there, Leo?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and finish up with what you were saying because I couldn't hear anything you said, and then all of a sudden you just went out.
Oh, I'm out? Hold on, wait a second.
Right. I mean, you went black. It was just like boom. Like you fade the black.
Oh, wait a second. I went black. Hey, listen.
No.
Listen. Hey.
Don't there with that nonsense. Don't
go down that road, big boy.
Yeah.
Peter, I'll tell you what. Again, a guy in his contract here, he doesn't want to practice when the bullets aren't flying. Again, all that can happen is bad things. He can blow out a knee, and he's going to lose tens of millions of dollars for that. So again, he's Marshawn Lynching it. He's showing up so he doesn't get fined. He's there. It's 3 days. All he's got to do is sit there, nod his head, and then come back. And some of the pundits in the Tampa Bay area have been critical of him, saying, you know, he needs to get his mind right. Devin White knows exactly what he's doing. Trust me. He and his agent have sat down, and this is not something that he's doing a cappella. There's the Leo Haggerty word for the night.
Very nice.
And again, this has all been staged. It's all been planned. And you know what? When we get to July and August and we get into training camp, Devin White will be fine.
All right, good stuff. The legend himself, Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Nine Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, my friend. All right?
Yeah, I'm getting close to getting that pitch count up, Peter. So, hey, have a good evening.
Yeah, we got that pitch count up, but 5 minutes over, so we're getting it up even more. We'll get it. We'll work it up.
All right, brother. Take care.
Right. See you, buddy. Looking great as always, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Let's go out to this guy. Don't got an intro. You know what? I do have an intro for him. It's like J.P. Peterson's intro. Here we go. That's right. Former Florida State kicker, Powers on Sports podcast, my tag team partner of the world, of course, TJ Reeves, Uncle TJ Reeves, our manager, Mr. Jason Powers. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television tonight, my friend. How you doing?
What's going on? Looks like you're you got your lady there commenting on the Peter Blake productions tonight. Very nice.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of surprised by it, but yeah, Troy says nobody pays attention when you talk baseball or football on this show, and I just proved that that's not true at all. There are women out there, guys, that love sports, and they love the Sports Web, and also they love the Rolex Reporter. Just saying. All right, so with that out of the way, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Rays a little bit.
Hold on. Before we get to the Rays and the Bucks,
yes,
we have to honor the Iron Sheik who went down. I know you're a big wrestling guy.
Yes, I am a big wrestling fan.
Iron Sheik. We got to give tribute.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give tribute. And I also got you hooked up today with The Dark Side of the Ring. A couple good episodes just came out.
Yes, because I don't have Vice. And here's the thing. Vice, I heard, is going out of business. They're going bankrupt. They have a phenomenal series called The Dark Side of the Ring. They talk about professional wrestlers. They just talked about Magnum TA. They also talked about the Graham Dynasty, which was phenomenal.
Sunny, the diva from the WWE.
Yeah,
how she's turned into a train wreck.
Well, she's been a train wreck ever since she left Smoky Mountain Wrestling and got with Shawn Michaels. That's a totally different story. You have to watch it, kids, if you're big-time wrestling fans. But the Iron Sheik, give me a memory of him besides the Twitter, because the Twitter is always my memory of him. I didn't get a chance to watch him enough growing up. So give me your favorite Iron
Sheik, man. He was the original villain back in the early 80s. WWF, New York City, when we had the Iran we had the feud with the hostages back in the early 80s, and then you had the Iron Sheik. I mean, it was great. Give Vince credit. It was a great storyline. He looked the part. I mean, he was the man. I mean, that was a great heel that they created with him and Bob Backlund and Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. That whole narrative and that whole storyline with Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron. It was great back in the early days.
Well, it was kind of great, but the one story I remember is that the Iron Sheik actually got stopped and pulled over with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Okay.
They were doing some drugs together, and of course that ruins kayfabe. And if you don't know what kayfabe means, at the time, one was a heel and the other guy was a face, and he was from America and the other guy was not. So it kind of shocked some people. With that being said, I think there's shock going on right now in the Tampa Bay area with the Rays the last couple of games. Losing to the Oakland A's. Make some sense of this, Jason Powers.
I mean, come on. It's the middle. Are we really bitching and complaining? It's the middle of June. We're 20 games over 500 and we're complaining because we lose 2 games to Oakland. I mean, really?
Yes.
Really?
All right. We got a phone call here. Let's go out to the phone lines here. I believe this is Eric. Eric, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Powers on Sports Podcast, Mr. Jason Powers. Go.
What's up, man? I got some news. Peter Blake.
What's the news?
1 hour ago, I guess Carson Wentz and John Gruden is here in Tampa Bay. Oh lordy! 1 hour ago, it's been reported.
Well, I don't know what that means. Carson Wentz and John Gruden.
Well, the report. Here's the report, Peter.
Okay.
The report came out that Carson Wentz is visiting with John Gruden, reviewing film and such, to try to, like the Gruden quarterback camp kind of deal,
So
that he did.
Basically, John, who's never been able to develop a young quarterback in his whole entire career besides veterans at the end of the day.
He's a veteran.
With well, there you go. Maybe that'll work out for Carson Wentz.
We're coming back to the Bucks.
No.
Here we go, John Gruden. And
No. This is Eric. This is fake. Eric, let me correct you. John Gruden was associated with the New Orleans Saints in the off season.
No. He's here in Tampa right now. 1 hour ago.
Right, he lives in Tampa. Yeah, he lives in Tampa. So they're
still has his office here. Still has his quarterback studio and all that here.
Right.
With Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's not breaking news. All right, what else, Eric?
That is news. 1 hour ago, this has been reported.
Well, it's not okay. All right. So what else, Eric? What else did you call about tonight?
Man, Rays better win tonight.
All right, Eric. Appreciate the call. There you go. Pretty simple, Eric. Trying to break some news here. Talk to me about John Gruden and Carson. Look, John Gruden is associated with the Saints. What did you make of that situation, by the way? I don't know if we talked about that, but John Gruden being somewhat of a consultant, no longer a coach. I mean, does that give the Saints some type of edge, in your opinion?
Well, obviously, it's because of the relationship he had with Derek Carr,
right?
Which is part of it. I mean, it's John getting his toe back into the mix in the NFL a little bit, and there'll probably be another year or so of this kind of stuff where he helps a consultant here and there, whether he helps a team that coaches that he knows around the league, and eventually once his suit with the NFL gets either negotiated out or plead out or settled, then we'll see if there's any kind of future for John Gruden in the NFL.
Yep, we'll see. We'll see definitely if there is, and then we'll see if he can help Derek Carr out, who is, somewhat struggled over these last couple years. What do you make of the Devin White situation? I mean, were you surprised that he showed up for the voluntary photo and then people assume, okay, trade request is over with, he's back, but now he's not practicing. Is he holding in? Todd Bowles comes out and says, we don't want to risk it. This whole situation to me has been a distraction, but I think it's about to calm down. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it's like Leo said, it's nothing. I don't have, the Bucks weren't going to practice him knowing he's in the contract year, because if he blows his knee out, then the Bucks are on the hook and all that stuff. So there's no need to do that. In a perfect world, would he be out there practicing? Yes, but I don't have a big issue with him not practicing. You have to show up to minicamp, Peter. You can't not show up or you get fined. So,
right.
And that's league collective bargaining agreement. So, they put a positive spin on it. Well, we're just letting him work out and blah blah blah. Everybody knows what's going on. He wasn't ever going to practice. He wasn't ever going to come to OTAs. He wants to. He'll be there in training camp because he has to be, because you can't not be in training camp. He'll be there in training camp. He's going to play this year. I don't think the Bucs are trading him. Maybe the Bucs trade him at the trade deadline if they're clearly out of it and things have gone wrong in the locker room with Devin during the year. But I don't think the Bucs would trade him prior to the trade deadline at the earliest.
All right, let's go out to Levante David, who had some comments. And, of course, he's been a mentor for Devin White. He says emotions have got the best of him, but he's here. He's ready to work. He's not ready to go right now, but he's getting himself ready for training camp. I talked to him throughout the whole process. Whatever that stuff that's going on with him, I know Devin. I know what type of person he is. I know he's ready to get back out there, play football, and he'll be able to help us win. I mean, that's Levante David. And by the way, that's the oldest player on your team right now, 33 years old, which is crazy to say because this team went from being very, very old to being somewhat very young at the end of the day. And it was funny because you're listening to Carlton Davis and he's talking about it, how now he feels like he's going to be a mentor to some of these players that got drafted the last couple of years.
Let's if I'm Carlton Davis, let's worry about catching some interceptions. We don't need you to be as much of a mentor. Let's worry about you catching some balls and not holding, not getting, let's worry about you becoming an all-pro player. That's what I want him to worry about.
All right, update the score right now. No score between Tampa Bay and the A's. It looked like Yandy Diaz was trying to take third. Nope, not happening.
It's giving more guys. It's giving these younger guys reps. So it's giving the Buccaneers a clearer picture of as we move forward. Hey, if we do end up moving Devin, do we have somebody in the building that can fill that, or do we have to potentially go outside of the building and draft somebody next year type thing? So all these reps these other guys are getting, the younger guys, I think it's nothing but a good thing. Devin knows the defense. Again, we all have our issues with Devin and what he does during the games, but schematically he knows the defense. I don't think there's any concern about that. And if I'm Devin White, if Levante David was in that situation 5 years ago, he probably would have done the same thing. He'd have shown up and he wouldn't have practiced.
Yeah, he says, he goes on to say, I just told him how I feel about him, how we feel about him, and then him on the business side, take care of what they take care of. Me as a friend, as a teammate, I just try to control and handle that part of it. He also goes on to say, sometimes emotions can backfire against you, and people use that against you. White shows passion. He shows that he loves the game. He shows that he wants to be here for the city of Tampa, the organization in Tampa, and he loves playing football with his teammates. He also goes on to say he's a captain, he's a leader, and a lot of guys look up to him. Let me ask you this. Maybe this is us being too critical as media guys. Do you think some of the actions by White this year have represented a leader in the offseason with the cryptic tweets and stuff like that? Do you think
it's not ideal? Would you like your team captain? But again, these guys that get named captains, they're getting named captains for what they do between the lines. More times than not, they're getting named captain because of their play on the field. And I don't doubt that on the field, I think Devin White, if it's nothing but football and he's worrying about the defense, he's going to give pretty maximum effort most of the time. Again, I don't think he can be. He's never been accused of not knowing the defense, lackadaisical in the classroom, things like that. I think on the football side of things, he's been a pro for the most part. Obviously, you don't love the tweets and all that stuff off the field, but once the pads get put on and it's practice time and it's game time, for the most part, Devin White's done a pretty good job. The Bucs just have to evaluate: is he worth $20 million a year as a middle linebacker? That's the question they have to make the decision on. And I don't know if any linebacker, I don't know if any middle linebacker is worth $20 million. Because remember, we've talked about this before. You got to get Winfield signed. You got to get Tristan Wirfs signed in the next year. Probably by this time next year, they all got to do, and Devin White. So not everybody can get necessarily re-signed this year because the Bucs are still in salary cap situation. I think this is the year the Bucs really want to flush out as much of the dead money on the salary cap as they can. And so that's why guys might just have to wait. Winfield might have to wait till at some point during the regular season or at the end of the year as well.
Well, they just freed up and just, redid some contracts here. Antoine Winfield Jr., Tristan Wirfs, they put void years on there. I think 3 for Winfield Jr. or 3 for Wirfs and 4 for Winfield Jr. So it frees up $3 million so they can sign their draft picks.
Worth his contract. Both those guys' contracts will get ripped up the moment they sign a long-term extension.
Right, but a lot of people say, well, they're not only signing their draft picks, Jason Powers, they may be going after possibly a running back like a Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott. Do you see it? Because Cook has talked about it. He's not mentioned money. You would think with the money that he got paid from the Vikings, he wants to recoup that because running backs aren't worth anything, but he's also come out and said it's the right situation. And you remember that situation in 2017, how his family was there, how Cook thought he was going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a lot of fans would say, well, maybe the Bucs kick the tires again. Do you see them going after another running back, or do you think they're happy with that room the way it is right now?
They're not signing another run. This is Rachaad White's job this year.
Okay.
He's cheap. He's younger. He's only 22, 23 years old. He's younger. You don't Dalvin. If you're going to bring in Dalvin Cook for $5 million, he's going to be the guy to get 20 touches a game. You don't want a $5 million running back getting 10 touches a game. This is the year you see if Rachaad White can do it. Mm-hmm. I could see the Bucs. You got Chase. You got Chase Edmonds and Keyshawn Vaughn in the room.
Vaughn, yep.
I think Chase Edmonds can be your number 2 guy. Him and Vaughn can fight for the number 2 spot. I think they're going to be just fine in the running back room.
All right, good stuff there. Great, as always, Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's read our comments. Ben says, LL Cool P. Ladies love Cool Peter. I kind of like that. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. R.I.P. Sheiky Baby. A lot of wrestling fans out there. Turnbuckle Talk coming up about 10:15, 10:20 with the madman himself, Mark Mancini, former XPW announcer, and, of course, Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg. When are you going to get on Turnbuckle Talk? Because you seem like you're a wrestling fan, and we kind of became even more best friends today after you sent me that Dark Side of the Ring. And then also, this man right here got me a DDP shirt. Self-high five, my friend.
When you got to wear the shirt on the show one of these days.
I'm going to wear the shirt on the show one of these days. If we get DDP on, maybe I'll wear it, but I'll wear it anyway.
Why is Jason wearing Gator colors? I'm really it's more you're right, it is Gator colors. Gators are in the College World Series, but I'm not a Gator fan.
Come on now, Troy. Enough with that.
This guy sucks.
Personal attacks on this show would not be
okay though
by you. You're always trying to stir this up. You're like,
you knew who's on the Gator baseball team? Tampa ties.
Who?
Who's got major Tampa ties and his business partner has Buccaneer ties?
Who?
All the lawyer signs you see around town, Culpepper and Kurland.
Yeah.
Kurland's son is a stud freshman infielder for the Gators, went to Berkeley Prep. Cade Kurland is a starter for the Gators. He's a Tampa kid. His dad is Brett Kurland, and obviously Brad Culpepper and Kurland have their law firm here in Tampa, and they do a lot of personal injury stuff. So you see their billboards all over the Tampa Bay area. So shout out to the Kurlands in the College World Series this week in Omaha.
And shout out to Brad Culpepper, who's lost a lot of weight and doing big things there, being a lawyer here locally. So good stuff there. Thanks a lot for the information. Ben says Chris and Tammy was great, but really hard to watch. Sad all around, man. And I remember, Jim Cornette saying if the guy is still alive, more than likely he gets over either in AEW or WWE because he's a smaller guy, but those organizations have kind of embraced the smaller guys at the end of the day. And Chris,
wait till you see the one if you haven't seen the one on Magnum TA yet.
I've seen it. I watched it today, and I watched the Grams. I watched both of them.
You got
to kill some time when you're trying to talk to people on the phone who don't want what you're selling at the end of the day. So I try to avoid all that mess and try to, watch the other stuff.
Because Magnum TA has a lot of Tampa ties too.
He does. Let me ask you this, because I'm going to probably ponder this question tonight. We're kind of switching back and forth with wrestling and the Rays. Yeah, that's what we do.
And by the way, my wrestling knowledge, I've got really good wrestling knowledge from the old school days. I just don't keep up enough today, all the storylines today. But, from basically 2005 back, WCW, Bischoff, and all that stuff, that was my wheelhouse.
There you go. So we got to get you on Turnbuckle Talk. So going back to it, Magnum TA has the big time injury. Of course, at the time he's over. Hogan, he's got Hulkamania. They're comparing him to him. They're trying to emulate him. They're giving him the big push. It's going to be Magnum TA versus Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And of course, he gets into that terrible car accident where he's paralyzed and is not able to wrestle anymore. And then at that end of the day, WCW gets formed because they sell them Crockett Promotions. My question is, if Magnum TA never gets hurt, does Sting have the big push like he did in the late 80s and 90s against Ric Flair?
You never know. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I mean, those are the kind of things we're pondering here on Turnbuckle Talk. Definitely.
And I'll give you one more. I'll give you a Magnum TA nugget.
All right, do it. Yes, go for it.
Magnum TA, when he was in Tampa, lived in the same apartment complex that my father did, like literally the next building over, in the same apartment complex where my dad lived.
Really?
In the mid 80s.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so do you know who gave him the original nickname and why he's named Magnum TA?
I saw that. I watched it because he looks like Tom Selleck.
But who gave him the original name? Who is the wrestler that gave it to him?
Brother, that's the Rose, the American Dream.
No, it actually was not Dusty Rhodes.
What, Andre the Giant?
Andre the Giant. Yes, very good.
My mistake. But Dusty was a huge push of Magnum TA. He's the one that really got Magnum TA's career rolling, as the promoter here in Florida. Obviously you hear Championship Wrestling, Gordon Solie and all that. Yeah. How about Dave Crockett in that episode too? How old he? I mean,
we're getting old, man. We're getting old. I mean, it's creeping up on us, but we're getting old, and all these guys that we used to watch on TV are either passing away or older than us. So it's crazy. Good stuff there. Let's see. Eric says, okay, you got the news. We got that. Ben says Iron Sheik was also an amateur wrestler. Competed in the Olympics for Iran before his WWE days. He also trained for Vern Gagne. Great stuff there, Ben. Thanks a lot for the comment.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you disrespect John Gruden? No real Bucks would ever do that. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying, yes, he won the first Super Bowl, Troy, but he is now a consultant for the New Orleans Saints, which means he is the enemy.
This guy sucks.
I don't think he's a high. He went to New Orleans for a weekend or 4 days. That doesn't make him a. Come on now.
Wow, Glasnow nearly just got hit by the ball, and double play here. Good job by the Rays. He's off. Double play by the Rays there, but Glasnow gets hit on the arm. That was a scary situation. Ben, in my opinion, Devin White just doesn't want to get fined until his attitude changes. I'll call him Diva White.
There you go. Go.
I haven't heard about William Golston. Are we going to re-sign him? What do you make? I don't think they're going to re-sign him. I think they're going in a different direction. I think they're going to go with Logan Hall. I think they've drafted certain guys there, especially Hall again. So what do you say? Anthony Nelson, they re-sign him. Yep. Chad Barrett's coming off the injury. You got Joe Tryon, Shayenka. Big-time expectations. I don't see William Golston coming back to you.
If William wants to stay in Tampa, I think the Bucks would bring him back at a veteran minimum type salary. But I could see a contending team, a Kansas City, a Jets, somebody like that who could use some depth on the defensive line, bringing in Golston around training camp time because he's a veteran. He's a professional. So I could definitely see one of these contending teams potentially bringing William Golston right around training camp.
All right, and right now, just to give you an update on the situation, they're checking out Glasnow, who got hit on the arm.
That's great.
Yeah, you can't get a break with this guy because he's either pitching phenomenally or he's hurt. Tell you what, let's go out to our phone lines. Let's go out to Mr. Daniels Mr. Williams. Excuse me, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Williams, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Go.
Good afternoon, my man.
Well, good evening to you. Not good afternoon,
all
man.
Right.
I mean, don't scare me now.
Yeah, man. But though, first of all,
yeah,
I just heard something that really struck a nerve on me.
What's that?
I don't know who that young fella was talking about disrespecting John Gruden.
Oh,
first
Troy?
First of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all.
Go ahead.
The cake was already built when that duplicator got here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Tony already built baked the cake Only thing he didn't do is turn the volume up in the oven on 350. Okay.
Well, Mr. Williams, it doesn't become a cake unless you turn the oven to 350.
Well, that's true.
Okay,
And to be fair, Mr. Williams.
Hold on. I don't know if if that other young man remember.
Mm-hmm.
99 said it the best. The cake was already built. The only thing Gruden came here to do, put it in the oven and turn the oven on.
Well, I think he also did a little bit more than that because they went after 22 free agents and free agency offensively, and a lot of those guys made a big time difference. Namely,
the Bucs weren't winning a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy.
They were not. I love Tony, but
who won? Can you all tell me?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all telling me the group that Tony had here did not win the Super Bowl?
I'm telling you that, yes, the defense was a big part of it, but offensively, Mr. Williams, they struggled mightily when Tony Dungy was the coach. That was a big part of it. Right.
Yeah. But no.
Tony gets the credit for the defense. There's no doubt.
Defense win games, bro.
But Gruden gets the credit for the offense. You got to give
he do.
And the motivating factor he put into the defense, the change of tone, the change of the desire of that defense to be Hall of Fame great.
To pound the rock.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. You feel me?
Right.
But like I said, and I still say, Tony, they did not really give him the recognition of that team. That team there, that was with all the soldiers that was there when we was pure trash, bro. Like, for real, we were trash.
Well, I think it's Mr. Williams, I definitely think it's a fair assessment to say Tony definitely built that team up. He took them out of the doldrums at the end of the day. They had some playoff seasons, but they could not get over that proverbial hump against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the offense did him in.
And with the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to remember now, Tony Dungy was the one that hired Clyde Christensen, Mike Shula, and he wanted to run that vanilla kind of offense and try to win games 17-14. That was his mentality as a defensive guy. And there's an argument to be made for that, but you got to give John Gruden credit. The Bucs weren't going to go to Philadelphia. Tony Dungy would never have gone to Philadelphia and scored 27 points at the Vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but though, right, like 55 have always said, we came here, we died, but we'll be back. Okay? That was a group that always stuck together.
Oh, I agree. No doubt.
Mr. Williams.
One thing Marty Kiffin told them boys, we play hard and we play together.
Yep. All right. Well, Mr. Williams, I appreciate the comment and the call. Definitely call back. We got to run. We got another call here. Keep on watching the Sports Web, my friend. All right. Good stuff there.
Good call.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on with yours truly, along with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, I don't know who that was, but I felt
the Iron Sheik calling from the grave.
I guess that was the Iron Sheik calling from the grave. We're on with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number 727-409. 7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Let's continue to read some of these comments from these guys right here. Morgan & Morgan is not the biggest law firm in America. They need to stop saying that, bro. Mike says no. Ben says Magnum TA did say that he wanted one to run with the NWA world title, and then he get out of wrestling to pursue.
I don't believe that.
I don't either. And a NASCAR driver at that time? Nah, I don't necessarily believe that. Mike says Orndorff claims to be from Brandon, but is actually from Claramel. I think that's your right there. Read my Zion comments, bro. I did, and this is what you got.
This guy sucks.
Stop skipping comments, bro. What do you make of the Zion Williamson situation? I know we're jumping around tonight, but I mean, there's a report that they could trade him, the personal stuff off the field, and then on top of it, the injury situation. Do you think that could actually happen?
Yes, there's a lot of chatter that potentially Portland or Charlotte potentially could trade for Zion Williamson, and Zion needs to probably be in a smaller market. New Orleans, with the culture and the nightlife in New Orleans, that's just not a great fit for him physically with his body type and such, I don't think. And Zion Williamson has to grow up. Bottom line is he has to be responsible for himself. His actions off the court have been, if these allegations are true, pretty suspect and pretty damning comments that are coming out about some of the things he's been involved with. Again, he's young, he's a hell of a player, but you got to play. You have to, and he's not been able to stay healthy with his foot injuries and his hamstring. He's getting, it sounds like his family's not been the best influence on him as far as making decision-making, things like that. So this will be a very interesting next 7 or 8 days involving Zion, because there's some serious talk around the NBA. He could be dealt for that number 2 pick, 2 or 3 pick in the draft. Portland, Charlotte are teams to keep an eye on when it comes to Zion Williamson.
And I think they may be trying to, keep Damian Lillard happy at the end of the day. Dame, maybe that's the way you do it. I don't know if that's going to work, because he's a guy that has all the potential in the world, but he cannot stay healthy. And I got it. I know the reason why. It's all the extracurricular activities off the court. That's the reason why. Google it, kids, if you don't believe me. That puts a lot of pressure on your back, if you know what I mean. Now, Bugsy McGraw
he must be utilizing that Peter Blake workout. That I see some hearts in the comment boxes. All that kind of good stuff. That Peter Blake workout, man.
Oh, man, you got to get on that Peter Blake workout.
Push-ups. Work on those push-ups. Those triceps.
Kids are all about applying pressure. Apply pressure. That's what the women want you to do. Well, you apply too much pressure, you hurt your back and your legs. And there you go. And the Rays safe there at third, 1-0 right now over the A's. Athlon Magazine predicted the Bucks to go fourth. Of course, we got Luke Easterling on, who's working for them. We'll get him back on here and just soon a little bit. My apologies, Mr. Williams. We love having you on the show. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Powers on Sports Podcast, Mr. Jason Powers. I'll acknowledge you.
Acknowledge me.
Mr. Roger Shue, welcome to the Evolution. What do you have to say?
I'm live and in living color, baby.
I know. Everybody wants to talk wrestling tonight and everything, go for it.
I just tuned in. My internet's been nuts. I just saw the comment somebody put in there about Magnum TA.
Yeah.
Wanting one run with the NWA World Championship and then going to pursue other adventures.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the fact at all. What had been chosen by the NWA Board of Directors to become World Heavyweight Champion, beating Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Was involved in a car accident. He hit a telephone pole at over 100 miles an hour in his Porsche.
We watched the Dark Side of Wrestling. We watched it.
We were saying had he not got in the car wreck, Magnum TA said if I won the world title for a little bit of time, then he was going to leave after he was the world champion.
That's what he said on this special. That's why you got to watch the Dark Side of the Ring on Vice, which I don't think
they said he was going to be the world champion. They said he was going to unseat Ric Flair for a bit of time there.
And my question to you,
Roger, be the man.
Roger, my question to you, because you're a wrestling historian like Mr. Jason Powers right here, my tag team partner of the world. If Magnum TA never gets into that car wreck, does Sting ever get that push? Because
they would have figured out a way, because he was charismatic too. They'd have figured out a way.
I don't know if Sting gets that push like Magnum TA.
Ric Flair made Sting.
But that's what I'm saying. They wanted to go with Magnum. Listen, they wanted to go with Magnum TA
had the title
versus Ric Flair.
I think Sting would have still been big wrestling Magnum TA, but I don't think he would have been as big as he was wrestling Flair.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff, Roger. What else?
Troy sucks.
Okay. Well, you know that. Give me an AEW update, because you were watching that tonight.
The show was freaking unbelievable. You have to go watch it if you can on a replay.
Okay.
There's just so much shit that happened on that show. I can't even cover it all.
He's
It was insane.
All right, and of course, CM Punk is coming back on Saturday. I know you're looking forward to that, my friend, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be FTR and CM Punk against Samoa Joe and who is it? I just forgot. Oh my god.
Well, that's what happens when you get old, my friend. You forget things, so you got to write them down. Or there, and he hung up. That's it. Thanks a lot, Roger, for the call.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. All right, so let's go out to Mike here. RIP to another long.
There you go.
Mike says all of Dungy idiots think that he built the whole team. I don't think Mr. Williams is an idiot, but I think there's a lot of fans out there that saw what Tony did in the time that he did it. I'm not answering this one.
Were people asking for Tony Dungy when the Bucks were in the Super Bowl? Let me ask you this.
I think there's people out there still saying this was Tony Dungy's defense or Tony Dungy's team, and he deserved a lot of credit. Well, you can make the same assumption with, Tom Brady coming in and winning the Super Bowl, people saying, this is Jameis Winston's team. Come on, man. We ain't doing that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. All right, let's go back out to the phone line. Jason Powers, it's going to have you on all the time.
I'm drawing the calls, baby.
All the calls right here. All the ratings right here. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution, my friend.
There's one person that y'all are forgetting about.
What's that?
What about Monty Kiffin?
Yeah.
Well,
This was a Tony Dungy guy. Tony brought him in.
Dungy guy, absolutely. Yes.
After Tony Dungy left, you think that defense would have been the same without Monty Kiffin staying here?
No, for sure. No.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Absolutely
And
not.
if they hire Marvin Lewis, which is what Rich McKay wanted to do at the time, I don't know if Monty Kiffin's even here at the end of the day. So
he wouldn't have been there. No, he would not have been there.
It's a great point.
And that's another thing. If you go back and you look at that 2002 Bucks coaching staff, go down the list.
Yeah. Yeah.
that wasn't what's the guy? What's the damn guy's name for the Steelers right now? Wasn't Mike Tomlin?
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin.
Absolutely.
Was it Lovie Smith a part of that also, that coaching staff?
And give John Gruden credit when he got the job. And I don't know if this was part of him getting the job, but he kept Monty Kiffin. He could have easily said, "F you, I'm bringing my own guy in." But I think he realized the value of Monty, the brilliance they had built, where he could focus all of his time on the offensive side of the ball. So
and also keeping Rich McKay around too, because that wasn't a popular decision with those two.
I'm gonna give my opinion. And, ultimately everybody has their own opinion on it. Okay?
Sure, and you can have that on the sports web, absolutely.
Dungy and Kiffin. That was Dungy and Kiffin's defense. Okay. Dungy put it together. Kiffin ran the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Gruden bought in his defense. His offense.
Yes.
Okay. And he was, for lack of better terms, that's what people were calling him back then. He was the wonder kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was the guy that was flamboyant on the sideline, and he showed his emotions. And the one thing I loved about John Gruden was he was cussing the referees out, just like I'll be cussing the referees out on Sundays. Okay.
John Gruden's number one downfall, guys, is he wanted to be the GM too. Had he just stuck to coaching and had a little bit of influence on the personnel, his run in Tampa would have been much better. But he wanted to be the GM and pick all the players, and thus that's why he brought George Allen or Allen in.
Yeah,
Bruce Allen.
Yeah.
Bruce Allen, because that was his boy and would allow him to do the things he wanted to do. But had John Gruden focused like Andy Reid does in Kansas City, majority of the time on just coaching the team, that run would have been longer in Tampa.
Good point.
What I will also say is he was a bad judge of character, because he drafted some talented players, but they all got in trouble. Every last one of them.
Yep. You're exactly right. He did. He was definitely.
But the Bucks were the team that also drafted Warren Sapp too.
Right.
And you know who I felt the worst for out of all his draft picks? I felt the worst for Cadillac Williams.
Oh,
he had so much potential, man. And
yep, 3 games.
He ran that kid to death.
Yep. It was 3 or 4 games with over 100 yards, and then he was hurt.
Yep.
And wow, somebody's commenting on YouTube right now. That's awesome.
I will never forget the game after he tore his ACL. He came back, and his ACL was fine, and then he tore his other ACL. And I can remember him on the sideline pounding the ground. using the F word. He was on national TV, and I was like, how can you not feel bad for this guy?
Oh, no doubt. He's a new school running back. He did not need to be getting 20 touches a game. He needed to be about 15 touches a game. He wasn't the biggest guy in the world. Ronnie Brown, if you remember at Auburn, kind of was the power back. Cadillac was more the scat back speed guy there at Auburn. He just wasn't built to be a 25 carry a guy in the NFL, unfortunately.
Yep.
But he was a hell of a player for that couple year burst that he had, no doubt.
That team should have competed for multiple Super Bowls. That team should have.
Agreed.
Didn't he run for like 140 in his rookie debut? Wasn't it at Minnesota, that first game of his rookie year, for like 140 or something like that, when he just burst onto the scene?
You're right.
They were pounding him right up the gut, down everybody's freaking throat.
Yep.
Down everybody's freaking throat. And that's like, I was the biggest Michael Clayton fan when he came out. And he might not have been the best receiver, but let me tell you something. If you didn't keep your head on a swivel, that guy was going to pancake block the mess out of you, man.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Man.
Yep.
But it's just
absolutely right.
John Gruden, he came to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
They paid the ultimate price.
Mm-hmm.
They paid the price for what they wanted. They won a ring.
They did.
Simple as that.
I don't think the Bucs fans would trade. They wouldn't trade that. I mean, it was worth it.
First, if we had to give up 2 firsts and 2 seconds every couple of years to win a Super Bowl, I'd
do
probably
it every day of the week.
Every day of the week. Absolutely,
in a
Curtis.
heartbeat.
Absolutely. What else?
In a heartbeat.
What else, my friend?
Listen, these people, it doesn't matter if it was Dungy's team. It doesn't matter if it was Gruden's team. It's about the team. I don't care about any of that crap. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really don't. So another thing I wanted to say is have you guys been hearing about? They've been protesting about the Chiefs, like they've been doing the Guardians and the Washington football team.
I have not seen that. Is that the new thing going to happen?
Yeah,
is it the Chiefs, the Seminoles, and the Braves?
I was watching something today. There was a protest group, the same ones that was out there for the Washington Commanders, of at least 57 to 100 people today, a couple days ago, and they're trying to get Kansas City to get rid of that Chiefs name.
Wow.
Yep.
I doubt that because the Redskin name. The reason that name got changed because that was a derogatory term in that community, whereas Chiefs.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, the Redskins was more of a derogatory term as opposed to the Chiefs.
Well,
right.
What was wrong with the Cleveland Indians?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know. I still hard for me to say Cleveland Guardians, but I'm getting used to it now because I was watching Major League the other night. It's craziness. It's nuts. It's crazy.
This is what the world is coming to.
Mm-hmm.
One person has a problem. A handful of people have a problem with one thing, and it becomes this whole big. I mean, what's next? Are they going to change the Florida State Seminoles?
Yeah, I hope not. I would think they were not going to do that. So. All right, my friend. Good stuff as always. Yes.
Always, man. What was I finna say?
You're gonna call back during turnbuckle talk. That's what you're gonna say.
Oh, listen. Can they please find something to do with Cody before he leaves?
I have no idea what they're doing with him at this point.
Whole thing with him and Dominic, this Mysterio,
it's terrible.
Dude, I've seen better runs and draws, man. Seriously,
it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I agree. I don't understand
my God,
it,
man.
and it's just so dumb. I don't know. It's
these storylines, man. I can't with these lines anymore. The old school ones, those were the days, man.
I mean, I know. Listen, I feel ultimately it's going to build up to him and Seth Rollins facing each other again for the title. But I think it's not going to be until his arm gets better. And it's going to be between him and Seth because I'm sorry, Damian Priest, I like him as a wrestler, but he's not the guy. He's
Well,
not the guy.
I tell you right now, what he did with Bad Bunny at the last pay-per-view, a lot of people think he's now the guy, and he did a lot of great things. Definitely call back for Turnbuckle Talk, Curtis. Thanks a lot for the call, man. We appreciate you as always.
Woo! All right, guys.
All right, man. Update the score. Bad news,
Curtis.
Rays fans. A 3-run home run, and now it is 3-1 A's over the Rays here. Of course, bottom of the second. It is early in that, and somebody continues to call this show, and I'm not going to answer it. I'm just not going to, because I know already what it is. I'm sorry, but that is not money. That is Monty Kiffin's defense. Remember when Dungy took the job, he wanted to prove that he could be offensive coach to not just a defensive coach. He said it himself in interviews back then. He said that Monty had free range of the defense. There you go. That's what you get for calling my show right there. I got somebody that wants to call the show. For some reason, I'm not going to answer the phone, so stop calling. Since we're on the subject of professional wrestling, what if, just imagine if Razor Ramon beat Bret Hart for the WWE Championship at the Rumble? That's a great point, as we got Turnbuckle Talk coming up in just a little bit. So we're not going to go there. I want to ask you this, and then we'll get you out of here. I wanted to do something really quick. I tell you what, we're going to really do that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the phone right now because this guy is just annoying at this point. So you just can continue to call and call nobody. Levante David, his comments, of course, it came out that they're going to wear the creamsicle uniforms versus the Lions. He says, I love it. I love it. I got a glimpse of them. They're not like the ones I wore in 2012 at all. You should be in for a surprise. They're really nice, and I definitely like the way they look. What do we make of this? Because did the Bucks change the uniform here? I know, I get it, it's one game, but he's kind of hinting this is not like 2012. What do you make of that?
I don't have a problem if they tweak it up a little bit, man. We want to see the orange. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, you'd see the exact same uniforms, but we want to see the orange, and I'm sure they'll do a little flavor with the creativity of the designer and maybe tweak a couple of the logo, whatevers. But yeah, it's going to be cool. I think it's a tradition the Bucks ought to do every couple of years, no doubt. I mean, there'll be one game every couple of years. They wear the creamsicle jersey, kind of like the Lightning, the Chargers wear the powder blues every once a year. I mean, it's a great look, and a lot of people, that's how they know the Buccaneers. That's how they've identified the Buccaneers from back in the day, was the orange uniforms.
All right, good stuff. You're absolutely right. I had a special thing to do here. I will get you out of here on this really quick. The top 100 players in Buccaneer history from our guy right there, Paul Stewart of the BuckPower.com podcast network. He says, starting with number 100, George Yarno, the offensive tackle, had 2 spells with the Bucks, interrupted by a stint in the USFL, famously kicked an extra point in the 83 season final after Dave Warnocky kicking debacle. Here's your highlight.
We got Yarno, an offensive lineman, will try the extra point. Left-footed kicker, George Yarno, puts it up, flags are down, didn't report. The kick was good, but there's penalty mark.
I mean,
I remember that, Peter Blake.
What did you think of that? A big guy kicking like that. I mean, man, don't kick somebody's head off. Don't kick somebody's hand off. It looked goofy at the time, but obviously he was better than the kicker they had on the team, right?
Give Yarno credit. That was his claim to fame as a professional football player, was that moment with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was he wasn't very good offensive line, very average offensive line. I'm not saying he wasn't any good, but that's his claim to fame in Buccaneer and NFL history, was the left-footed straight on extra point.
All right, so good stuff there. So number 99 here was Jeff Gooch. Mr. Stewart says played 7 seasons, remains the franchise leader in special teams tackles, had 1 season starting at linebacker, also made 6 other starts due to injuries elsewhere, had made the 96 team as an undrafted free agent. What do you best remember about him? I tell you what, we'll go out to the highlight and then we'll talk about him. Here's Jeff Gooch.
Down by 11, Favre. Another fumble. Ball again, and Dellenbach is there. Jeff Gooch,
all right, so there you go right there. So Jeff Gooch, any memories of him? I mean, special teams demon, definitely amazing.
He was an undersized guy. I mean, just a gritty, gutty. That's the NFL is made up of a lot of guys like Jeff Gooch. That's what the NFL is no name guys that come out of nowhere, make a roster. You start out as a special teams guy, you make a name for yourself. You get some opportunity to play in the defense on a regular basis. Excellent career. What did he play? 7-8 years in the NFL?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a career in the NFL. Say what you want. He was
Yep.
never a star, but he's a glue guy that every good team needed. And he was a contributor on special teams and an occasional play on defense. Every great team needs guys like Jeff Gooch.
Absolutely. I'm just right now, I am dealing with somebody who just wants to call my show for just absolutely no reason. And he's putting all these weird comments down. So you have to excuse me. Yep. It's ridiculous at this point that somebody's going to be a kid like that. All right. 98, Rob Taylor. Of course, tackle, former USFL lineman who was in Tampa visiting his wife family when he stopped and asked for tryouts. I mean, can you imagine that happening today? I know the USFL is going on, but it's much more difficult than that. And at the time, of course, the Bucs were the laughingstock of the league. And then he spent the next 8 seasons with the Bucs, starting at right tackle for nearly 100 games. So pretty good player. I've seen him before. All right, I know you know this one. Matt Bryant, number 97, played 4 seasons with the Bucs.
Yep.
Was very reliable inside the 40 during his time in Tampa, but struggled from a longer range, except for the time he made history with the 62-yard game-winning field goal against the Eagles. Here's the highlights.
Dave Moore, the snapper. It'll be low trajectory, and the Eagles are going to try to block it. Here is Dave Moore, the snap, the hole, the kick. It is good! It's good! 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 Bucs beat the Eagles! Matt Bryant is my hero!
And I remember that day because and that season overall wasn't great, but that was probably the highlight. What do you best remember from that game and from that season overall?
What I remember is, Peter Blake, you got to go to the Powers on Sports podcast. And part of that call is in the intro.
It is. You're
to the Powers on Sports podcast.
You're absolutely correct about that. You're right.
Probably pirating something that maybe I shouldn't pirate, but hey.
Well, that's what we do here.
When I get famous, then I'll change it. If somebody asks me to change it, I'll change it.
Exactly.
But until then, go to the Powers on Sports podcast every week, and you'll hear Gene and Hardy Nickerson on the call for Matt Bryant.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. We're on with Jason Powers. Powers on Sports podcast. Of course, No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com network. I'm your host, Peter Blake. We got Paul Stewart, who was ranking the top 100 players. He's just starting out here, so we'll get into more of this. But 96, Lawrence Dawsey, one of my favorites of all time, had a remarkable rookie season, started with a 65-yard touchdown at his first game against the Jets and capped by rushing score in the season final. His 9 touchdowns set a rookie receiving record for the Bucs. That's amazing in itself. Here's a little Lawrence Dawsey for you in case you don't know who he is.
At least gotten on the board in this half. It's 17-3 Tampa Bay. Testaverde lost. Oh! Lawrence Dawsey. Benny Clark with the coverage.
There you go, right there. So some highlights from Lawrence Dawsey. What do you best remember about Mr. Dawsey?
Well, first and foremost, I just missed him at Florida State. He had just finished at Florida State when I came to Tallahassee. He was a stud receiver at Florida State. That guy's just a football player. He was never the fastest guy, never the tallest guy, not the strongest guy. He was a great route runner, was great catching those 50-50 balls like the highlight you just showed. That guy was just a quintessential football player. He was faster in pads than he probably was without pads on for whatever reason. He just found a way to get open and he caught the ball. I mean, he kind of reminded me of a guy like Anquan Bolden, never the fastest guy, but just a guy that made catches after catch, tough catches, and was just a great, and I know Lawrence's career didn't last that long, but just a great teammate, got the most out of his talent for sure.
All right, good stuff there, Jason Powers. Our number 95, DeMar Dotson played mostly right tackle, started over 100 games, playing for 5 different Bucs head coaches, was the real surprise story of 2009, as with only 1 year of college football under his belt, made the team as an undrafted free agent, another undrafted free agent. And
I think he was a basketball player, wasn't he?
Was a basketball player. I mean, what do you best remember about DeMar Dotson?
Again, another guy just solid. That guy, again, another guy that had a long career. He was never going to be an all-pro kind of guy, but he's just a solid guy. He was reliable. He was available. Again, he played a long time, didn't miss many games. Just a guy that you could, again, was he ever going to be an all-pro? No, but he was just a solid right tackle. Again, part of a lot of winning teams, and teams need guys like DeMar Dotson. And again, give the Buccaneers credit for finding the guy, giving the guy some opportunity, and more importantly, coaching him up. And give him credit for taking on the coaching and the transition from basketball to football and being able to be a very serviceable right tackle, probably because of his foot speed. His agility was one of his biggest attributes, is how agile and how quick he was at the right tackle spot.
Excellent. Good point there. All right, number 94 here, according to buckpower.com and Paul Stewart, Antonio Bryant. He had a monster 2008 season, became only the second Buck to ever have a 200-yard game this coming in the Monday night encounter. In Carolina, injuries restricted his play in 2009 after being designated the club's franchise player. Remember Mr. Bryant? Here's some highlights. Again, go to buckpower.com if you want these highlights and all this information. If you're a true die-hard Bucks fan, it's paradise for you. Here we go.
3 receivers, bottom of your screen to Garcia's right. He climbs the pocket and goes left. Oh, what a catch for the touchdown by Bryant. That was unbelievable.
Great catch.
What a catch by Antonio Bryant. Your greatest memory of him?
To me, that was a career that could have been great. He had a ton of ability. Like you saw, great hands. He was a physical beast, but he had off the field issues. I think he had some drug issues. He had some attitude. I don't know if it was attitude. He had some issues in a previous spots.
Yeah,
dealing with coaching, dealing with other team as a teammate. Had that guy had the mentality of a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin with the physical skills that he had, he could run. He was strong. He had pretty good hands. That guy could have been a perennial Pro Bowl player for multiple years had his head been in the right spot. I think it was a career that was good, but could have been really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and let's go on to number 92. Loris Tate was a touchdown machine in the late 80s, but with the drafting of Reggie Cobb and the signing of Gary Anderson in 1990, found himself a surplus to requirements. Sadly passed away in 2022 from throat cancer. Had the highlight on that, but I know that you got to run. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of sports talk television, my friend.
By the way, real quick, Loris Tate probably had one of the best plays in Buck history, if you remember. He flipped over the pile, landed on a guy, got up and ran like 50 yards for a touchdown with the venerable Mark Champion on the call for the Buccaneers.
Wow.
Pre-Gene Deckerhoff, Mark Champion on the call there. That was a great moment in Buck history on that play. That was kind of his most famous play. Remember, he came from Georgia. He was a few years after Herschel, so everybody thought he was in the Herschel mode. He was a big guy, kind of could run. He was a bigger running back. Everybody thought he might be the next coming of a big-time running back out of Georgia. His career never really popped, but and obviously a sad ending here in the last year or so with him passing away.
All right, I think I got that highlight here really quick. Let me get that highlight up because this may be the play that you're talking about.
That's his most famous play.
All right, let's see. We got it.
There it is.
No way. That is awesome. That is freaking awesome. I remember that. Well, I tell you right now, I remember seeing the play because most of the time when the home games were on, Jason Powers, unless
blacked out,
Bears, it was blacked out. Were they playing the Bears that day? Because that
Arizona Cardinals, I think. Arizona Cardinals.
All right. Jason, thanks a lot for your time here. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of sports talk television, my friend.
Yeah, Powers on Sports podcast just dropped an episode last night. A great new episode. We put out an episode virtually every week. I also co-host a sports radio show around the Southeast on Wednesdays called The Press Box. Go to pressboxradio.com. So if you like Southeastern Conference stuff, we talk a lot of SEC. We talk a lot of baseball this time of year. Obviously, we talk a lot of college football, NFL. So Wednesdays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., pressboxradio.com, and go to my YouTube channel, Jason Powers Sports Channel on YouTube. All my podcast interviews with Peter Blake, No Quarter Given podcast interviews we post up there as well. So all the video content you can manage. We do a lot of good stuff. So we got some good guests lined up for the summer, and Peter Blake and I'll be back doing the No Quarter Given podcast again.
Yes.
By the way, we're going to do as soon as mini camp's over, so probably next week we'll do kind of a post spring OTA mini camp of the edition of No Quarter Given, and then we'll obviously get going as we get into training camp as well. So lots of places to find us. You'll be part of what we're doing moving forward, and thanks for the opportunity, man.
As always, man, you make it happen. All the people were calling tonight besides this idiot who continues to call, and I'm just going to have him blocked. Appreciate the time, as always, my friend, all right?
Anytime, man. You got to give me some new music. By the way,
yes.
The Magnum TA documentary, some great comments from Nikita Koloff.
How
about that?
Nikita Koloff. That's a name right there.
That's a story. Read up on him. That's a great part of that whole narrative too. How that Nikita and Magnum TA rivalry got all wired up.
I love it. All right, good stuff, Jason Powers. Powers on Sports podcast. No Quarter Given on the Buck Power Podcasting Network. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend. All right.
You got it, buddy. Have a good week. See you, bud.
All right. See you, bud. All right. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here that I got in my studio. And I'm just trying to make sure we take enough calls. The guys are waiting for me right now. So again, I will open up the phone lines. If you guys want to call up, please don't be that guy from Texas. I don't know why he keeps on calling me. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, it's Turnbuckle Talk with the madman himself, Mark Mancini, and, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, Pittsburgh's newest radio personality, Mr. Ralph Williams. Keep it locked.
uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's read some of these comments. I am reporting them to the folks. Peter, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I remember that game. Let's go out to David. You know what I remember from that game is being pissed off, leaving at the beginning of the fourth quarter just to get to my friend's house to walk in and watch him kick that field goal.
Shut up!
All right. Never leave a game, my friend. Let me go out to KR. You can close the chat, sir. They're going to keep spamming. They are going to keep on spamming, but we're not going to let them do what they want to do. We're not going to let them control the Sports Web and have a good time. We're going to have a good time here. We're going to talk wrestling. That's what we do here on Wednesday night. The madman himself, former XPW announcer, Mr. Mark Mancini. Welcome to the evolution. Look at your camera, my friend. You did it on the other radio show. welcome to the Sports Web. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Well, I always believe in this. You break all the rules and you raise the ratings. And that's what we do as the frenzy starts in Florida, the Yahoo in Texas. Tell him to get on his horse or lock the horse up and he can play a little gun smoke out there. The horse needs a breather. So that dude in Texas can stop bothering you. You always get these clown calls. All you got to do is kind of put him off to the side somewhere. And boy, Pittsburgh won't be the same starting next week with Ralph Williams and smoking Jim Frazier tearing up the Berg.
I know. I love it. I love it. And I've seen the show. It looks impressive. Let's go out to the bodyguard of the Berg. Mr. Ralph Williams, welcome to the Evolution. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, as well, for the promotion for the new radio show on Tuesday. I will tell you this much. One of the producers who works for our top radio station here, 93.7 The Fan, yesterday, Smoking Jim Frazier was on another show last night, and he said, he said, by the way, I wanted to let you know that you have some competition coming starting Tuesday, June 20th. And the guy said, what competition? So we're going to find out here. This guy opened up a can of worms he can't close.
Wow. There you go. So some trash talk here. Yeah, I definitely understand that. Hold on a sec here. I definitely want to do something really quick as I'm producing on air because somebody just called me out. So I will send him the link if he wants to get on and talk some wrestling with us. I do know him, so hold on a sec. Let's see if we can get him on really quick.
Wow, it's a tough go of it. All you got to do is threaten to move, and then you go on
the new Peter Blake Studios.
And that's it. There you go. Exactly. Well, we're in the old Peter Blake Studios right now. We're just here. All right, let's talk about it, guys. New championships were awarded out to Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, and of course, Asuka. And then you have Charlotte come out. It looks like Bianca Belair could be going heel at this point. And what do we make of these events that have transpired here the last week and a half with new titles, especially Roman Reigns, Mark?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's just going to continue with Roman Reigns. We've said that before. A lot of people think he's going to drop a title. I think the bloodline might have a few cracks in it, but there's going to be new members coming in. Could be Nia Jax there. Who knows, man? It's going to get interesting because Roman Reigns is not going away until he goes to Hollywood. As far as all these other ones, man, I'm getting excited with Seth Rollins, who his next challenger is going to be. Powers brought up an interesting thing. And you talking about, maybe, or, the listeners were talking about maybe a Cody Rhodes and down the line and everything. But I'll tell you one thing. Every time I see Dominic Mysterio, I have a bad feeling in my stomach, and I almost got the runs. I got to run to the bathroom.
I mean, that's what we've kind of talked about here, gentlemen, and Dominic Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes. But, let's stay with the title thing here, Ralph. What do you think about the new titles here? And then we'll go into Dominic Mysterio and, of course, Cody Rhodes. But, Ralph, go ahead.
I think Dominic Mysterio and Cody Rhodes, that's just crazy. There's no excuse for that match at all. If I'm Cody, I wouldn't even fight Dominic because Dom is terrible. Is a horrible wrestler. And the only reason he wins is because of Judgment Day, and that's about to be a combustible element. So, but anyway, what I think of the new belts, it's great to have new belts, and I'm glad that they're getting rid of the other ones. Now we got to get Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens their new belts because they're still carrying around the other ones, and once that happens, that's fine. It's great to have new belts. I'm interested to see what Seth Rollins is going to do against Braun Breaker next Tuesday on NXT. That's going to be an interesting match on NXT.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I was surprised by his appearance.
So was I.
That's all about. I don't know what they're trying to do besides try to improve the ratings because the ratings have gone down the last, couple months there with all the changes and everything like that. But, for me, Braun Breaker is ready to come up any day now to that main roster. And of course, if you don't know who Braun is, he is the son of Rick Steiner. What do you think of him, Mark?
Well, I like him, but you know what? He's not going to take the belt from Seth Rollins. That's the thing. Seth's going to wear this thing for a while. I could see Seth wearing it towards the end of the year and maybe dropping it to some upcoming start. But I don't see him, he's so popular, the entrance music and everything. And guys, I don't know if you saw it. I got excited Friday when Scarlett got in the face of AJ Styles. And who is that witch that's trying to track down Scarlett? Come on, man.
Well, I know you love that. And, of course, the AJ Styles thing with, of course, Karrion Kross finally getting a push there. But you go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Ralph.
Well, Karrion Kross has been sort of a redheaded stepchild. He hasn't really been doing too well, or hasn't been booked very well. Let me put it to you that way. Excuse me. Creative has had him, what I call in and out all the time. Starlet getting involved, that's an interesting scenario there. She gets involved when she needs to. She's a smart, witty woman, and that's exactly what she's going to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I kind of wonder what they're going to do here with Bianca Belair, because you already have Charlotte Flair, you have Asuka. Belair's not getting a shot. I think eventually they're going to break up also Montez Ford and Dawkins there. And I think Montez Ford is going to be a superstar at the end of the day. So could they do that with both of these parties, knowing that Bianca Belair and Montez Ford, of course, are husband and wife? Could they turn them both heel? And will that sell? Is that going to help Belair's career along with Mr. Ford?
That's a great point.
I think it could.
Yeah. I think what you bring up an interesting point on that, because I think you keep Montez Ford as a face. You might want to turn Dawkins, and unless if you can see Belair kind of going heel, maybe it makes sense to turn Ford heel too. Keep Dawkins the face. But I will tell you, things run in threes here, and I think Priest could go a face with him battling Balor here. This is going to get interesting, guys, because Balor keeps kind of showing up and trying to throw his 2 cents in. Kind of reminds me of the younger brother. You keep trying to tell him to stay home, everything's okay, and he keeps finding a way out of the house.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good point, Ralph. What do you say?
Finn Balor's a lost soul swimming in a fishbowl, like Pink Floyd says in the song. How I wish you were here.
Jeez.
No, I'm serious. He is, because look at where he's at. He's lost in the Judgment Day, and then he tries to fight all these big matches and he loses. So Finn Balor, and he's a crybaby. I mean, that's all he is. He cries about everything, and then now he's crying about how he lost he got hurt and he had to give up his title. And I understand that, but you know what? Just wrestle, keep your mouth shut. I mean,
All right, let's go out to one of my favorite callers, Curtis, using his second call. You're live here on Turnbuckle Talk with yours truly, along with the madman himself, former XPW announcer, Mark Mancini, and, of course, the bodyguard of the Berg, Pittsburgh's newest radio personality,
yes, indeed,
Williams.
Well,
go ahead.
I had to call because I love me some wrestling. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Curtis.
Talk wrestling. I'm going to tell you something. Here's my God-honest opinion on the WWE.
Yeah.
They have too much talent. They have talent, and they don't know what to do at all.
Well, it's Vince. I think that's what that's where it correlates to, in my opinion. Leo Ward. It's Vince once again doing the booking, running the booking, doing last-minute decisions. In my opinion, that's the reason why it's gone a little bit haywire. And some of it is tough to watch. Once again, if they just let Triple H and the writers do their thing instead of having Vince in it, then I think they're going to be better off. Just my opinion.
And am I the only guy that doesn't like Austin Theory?
Well, they dropped the ball with him. I mean, ever since what has he done of any consequence at the end of the day? I mean, he's lost heat. He had all this momentum, and you have everybody on your side as being a top heel, and then what do you do with him? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with them at this point.
My thing is what are they doing with Bobby Lashley? Nothing.
Yeah.
They're doing nothing with Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
I don't even think they have room for Kofi and Big E when they decide whenever they're healthy again.
Well, has anybody seen Drew McIntyre lately? Because we'll get to that in a moment.
I read a report today, guys. Everybody's coming back soon, Drew McIntyre.
There was a lot of talk that he wasn't going to re-sign, but I think there's a lot
I know.
there at the end of the day because
when Drew won the WWE title, I looked at him and I said, now this is a guy that you could build around.
Right, but the thing that was messed up about it is he did it during COVID. He did it when there was no audience. He did it when there was basically nobody around, which is disappointing. And I feel like he deserves another run, but when are you going to give him that run? Because you just put the title on Seth Rollins. So what are you going to do
Well,
with him?
the thing about it is, and I'm going to go on and say it because he said, this whole Roman Reigns thing, I'm tired of seeing. I'm tired of it.
You're tired of it?
I agree, Curtis.
I'm tired of it. I'm so sick. I'm so sick and tired. I mean, listen, when Jimmy kicked him in the face, I was like, yes. And my wife was like, shut the F up. Your daughter's in there sleeping. And I'm like, oh.
I've been saying that for a long time, Curtis. WWE and the same storylines, the same old matches, the same old rivalries. It's getting old. They got to start coming up with some different things here. You know,
I kind of like it, guys. I mean, I love Reigns. I mean, I can do without some of these other matches. And Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, they made sense when they said, you know what? We're not being used enough. And you saw what happened on that front. They don't use these guys. What happened to Keith Lee? I tell you, when I see some of these matches, I almost got to turn a videotape on or something of Rick Rude and Hot Roddy Piper, man.
Well, I tell you right now, a lot of people want the old school back, and then they definitely want, guys that they know and they can identify with when it comes to character development. And we always talk about it, that's the difference. And even Keith Lee, he went from WWE to AEW. Yeah. They could not use him. They still haven't figured out a way to use him. So it happens to both promotions at the end of the day.
I will tell you, my new favorite is I love that guy, Gunther. I love that guy.
Well, I tell you right now, he's over. He's over, and he's definitely a WrestleMania main event. And don't be surprised.
I love that. And you know what? Mm-hmm. I think it was 2 weeks ago, that match with him and Kevin Owens on Monday night. That was a great match.
Yes. That guy can wrestle, and he's a story. He's definitely improved his body. He's improved his overall body of work. And you saw what he could do in the Royal Rumble and how he showed out and how long he was.
I tell you what, he is what Cesaro should have been.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Yes. Agree. Yeah. Completely agree. And I love the bloodline going on right now. I love this storyline. They're falling apart.
I mean, here's the thing. Pete, we love the storyline.
Yes.
We love that him and the Usos are finally beefing.
Right.
And Solo doesn't know what to do and all this. But listen, Roman has become Brock Lesnar all over again.
To a certain degree, you're absolutely right. And he
doesn't.
At least he shows up on SmackDown. At least he's there. He talks. He does his thing. Brock Lesnar, you didn't see him unless it was a pay-per-view. So, I mean,
But to that point, you're not wrestling matches. I guess they don't wrestle matches anymore on those shows, which, doesn't make sense.
Well, and you know what, guys? You on the women's side of things, everybody talks Asuka, Becky Lynch, Belair, and everything.
Yeah.
Asuka, and getting a brain fart there. But I'm talking about the one I really like, and not many people care for her, but if they gave her another push, Sonya Deville can flat out. She's got good mic skills and can wrestle.
Yeah, I don't think she's.
I like Sonya Deville.
I know you do, and I know you also like Scarlett, and I know you also like Rhea. Is more over. They're trying to get Lacey Evans over with the Sergeant Slaughter.
They can't figure out what to do with her.
They don't know what to do with her.
Yes, exactly. They do not.
I like Sonya. I'm tired of this whole Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio thing. Every time I see it, I want to throw up every single time.
Right. Well, and I'm tired of Dominic altogether because he's not a great wrestler, although he's got massive heat on him.
Yeah,
when it comes to the crowd, because
Rhea would look. If Rhea got rid of the Gotham City look, she'd look pretty good.
I still think she looks good. I don't care about the Gotham City look.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get rid of the Batman look every now and then. But
will you shut up and go ahead, Curtis?
She looks great. My problem is that she's become one of those champs that doesn't really defend her title either. It's all about about dominance.
Yeah.
And my thing is Raw is 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be God honest with you. The problem with Raw is it's on cable television. It's on USA. The reason SmackDown is killing them because even people who have antennas can get Fox.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're exactly right.
That's really what's wrong with Monday Night Raw. Who can afford cable? I'm sorry. Listen, I pay for Hulu Live every month. It costs me $85 a month.
Yeah.
But you know why I pay for Hulu? I pay for Hulu Live because I like to watch my Sports Center. I like to watch my sports, and I like to watch all my stuff live.
There you go.
And then I can go back and watch all my other shows, the day after or something like that. But see, $85, it sounds expensive. But then when you go to Spectrum or whatever the hell they call it now,
Frontier,
and you get cable and internet, you're paying like an extra $1.50.
I'm paying $150 for streaming service and also top-notch internet, so I could do Turnbuckle Talk on Wednesday night and get trolled by trolls like Troy and this jack off from.
He's trying to sell you something, Peter. Come on, man, give him a break.
I don't think he's trying to sell me anything here at 10 o'clock at night.
He's trying to make a bid. He's trying to make a bid on that Rolex. That's what he's trying to do.
It's a Texas soup kitchen looking for Ray.
I'm telling you. Well, come on now, Mark. Don't do that, Ralph.
Hey, maybe it's Jerry Jones looking to buy your Rolex because he ain't been on TV.
Maybe he's not. Maybe the jackoff's not from Texas. He's from Jasper, Wyoming.
Maybe he is. Who knows at this point? Who knows where he could be from? El Segundo. For all
but the thing about it is SmackDown is 2 hours. SmackDown is chilling, and even AEW. I mean, AEW is doing okay, but they're still on cable TV.
Yeah.
You know. I remember.
I know it's going to sidetrack wrestling here, but I had a guy call the other day, and he was telling me about Nikolai Jokic being the best center he's ever seen. I said, you know what? People that do crack should never call my show and tell me that because obviously,
I think definitely.
Wait a minute. Obviously, you've never seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, and some of these guys.
But what Jokic is doing right now, it's the spur of the moment, right?
Listen, I understand what they're saying. Listen, what they're saying about the Joker is this guy can do it all.
You say the Joker.
Why so serious?
The thing about it is he's scoring, he's rebounding, he's passing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of those big guys back in the day, they didn't do all of that.
Yeah.
They basically were in the paint. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, but nobody's mastered the sky hook like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone, Hakeem.
Right. But you have to remember, from when we were kids to now, the game has evolved so much. I mean, these guys, for lack of better terms, they be riding LeBron like they're the greatest thing he's ever seen. I'm like, well, all you gotta do is go look up some Jordan high. I take Kobe over LeBron right now.
Exactly.
Get out of here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Absolutely.
Stop it.
Yeah. Stop it is right. Good stuff, Curtis. Anything else here on the Evolution?
Man, they just need to do something with wrestling, man. I mean, listen, I will be a wrestling fan till the day I die.
Yep.
I'm tired of seeing them, bring the vets back. They lose stupid matches.
Well, I want to pose this question for all of us right now on this panel. With The Rock losing $60 million with the XFL last year, with his movies bombing like Black Adam, which I didn't think was bad, but and again, if you didn't see Fast and the Furious 10, tough stuff. He's coming back for Fast and the Furious 11. There's your there's your little teaser right there. With all that being said, do we think that the WWE has turned the page on the potential match between Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson versus Roman Reigns? Curtis,
can I go? Can I go first?
You can go first, Curtis. Yes.
I'm going to tell you something.
Yes.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is because I don't think Roman can act because he does a terrible job sometimes. See, okay. When he's on the mic on SmackDown, he's kind of freestyling. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
However, it's different when you're freestyling compared to when you're really acting in a movie.
Right.
And
I think you get over. I think you could definitely be an actor. If The Rock could be an actor, I definitely think Roman can be an actor. I think there's a spot for him there.
Stone Cold did a good job in like 2 movies. Okay?
Right. John
I
Cena
believe
did a
it
good
was
job in a couple movies, right? Yes.
it was John Cena. The only John Cena movie that I like besides the one with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, I did like 12 Rounds. It was a pretty good movie.
Okay.
And he made a cameo in Sisters, which I thought was hilarious.
I don't know if I ever seen that one, but I did see him in Fast and the Furious. I thought he was good in the last 2 movies. I did think he was good.
He was
He's
he was
good.
all right.
He's
But,
all right. He's not bad. Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is
he was good in Trainwreck too with Amy Schumer. Did you ever see that? That was pretty good too.
That was a
good.
little funny.
That was funny. Yeah, that was funny. LeBron was actually good in that movie. You know why? Because
listen,
he is what he is in that movie. He's
LeBron
a
and
guy.
LeBron and movies shouldn't even be in the same sentence. Okay.
You mean the new Space Jam? You didn't go out there and get that the sacrilege that was committed against the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan? Come on, man.
I rather watch Air Bud. You hear me?
Oh, Air Bud. Well, there you go, Air Bud.
There you go. I'd rather watch Air Bud over and over again.
All right. So on that note, my friend, we're gonna give you the Ric Flair.
I'd rather watch Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
no. Caddyshack is great. Caddyshack 2 is what you should have said.
Course,
Oh, I love Caddyshack.
European Vacation.
Caddyshack 2 is one of the worst movies of all time.
How about
Caddyshack 2
I'd
was
rather watch
awful.
Snakes on a Plane on repeat.
Okay.
Watch LeBron James's Space Jam.
All right, Curtis. Appreciate the call as always, my friend. All right,
What a
good
guy.
Have a good night, Curtis. Thank you.
All right, so where were we? Where do we begin here with this bloodline?
Well, I you know what, to talk about the Roman Reigns and let's face it, this dude's come a long way. You know, when he was with the Shield, he really didn't say too much. Then he was a face, and he was getting ridiculed. They were trying to turn him heel. What he's done with the bloodline's tremendous. I think with a little experience, you know, the most important thing, guys, here is, you know, when you're faced with negativity in your life, there's 2 ways you can combat it. Either you throw the finger up and say the hell with it, or you can absorb it like a sponge and try to learn from it. And I think Reigns would do good in anything he combats. I mean, I really do. I like the guy, and I think what he's done with the Wrestling Federation right now, I don't think you'll ever see this. I really don't. It's been quite a thing.
I don't think you ever see it either, guys.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, the storyline was perfect for him. Everybody wanted him to turn heel. He did turn heel. Can you imagine if John Cena did it in his prime? He stayed, you know, face, of course, but it's been a perfect transformation from the days of, you know, Roman messing up on his promos, sucker and succotash, all this other stuff in his history. You have to look it up. I mean, he really struggled with promos. And now it seems like they're letting him do his thing, which is what you should do in the first place. That's the reason why The Rock, that's the reason why Stone Cold is great on the mic, because they let them be creative. They don't write those lines for him, Bodyguard, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, nowadays everything's scripted. And, you know, Stone Cold used to say whatever he felt like it. And, you know, but now everything's scripted. You know, you got all this producer and that guy and this guy involved in everything. And it's just amazing how now they're so limited as to what they can say.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's go back out to Drew McIntyre. We talked about that. According to PWInsider.com, there's been a creative push to get McIntyre back in the fold for Money in the Bank Premium Live event, which takes place in London on July 1st. They also say the added pitches were made for McIntyre's return for TV during creative meetings last week. Since McIntyre is from Scotland, he would likely receive a massive reaction in London. The situation is potentially delicate one, as PW Insider reported that McIntyre's WWE contract expires in early 2024. The two sides reportedly have yet to come to terms on a new deal, and that's why McIntyre has not been utilized, or is going to be utilized in the coming months, could help determine whether he resigns or goes elsewhere. What do you make of this situation, Madman? I mean, you've been in XPW before. You watched a lot of wrestling. Is it smart on WWE's part to not only not have this man on TV, because he's definitely over, and we know that he's athletically gifted, and he can get it done, and he's definitely a powerhouse at the end of the day. But is it smart on WWE's part to let him go out there and test the waters, especially in AEW?
I don't think it is smart. And by the same token, is we all know that the most important thing in life is having somebody look you in the eye and tell you what you mean to a company. And then that way, then you can go out and run through a wall for that guy. But what we have in today's society is it's all about the money and the hell what the person's doing and how the family is and everything. And we've seen this more than once. And to throw Drew McIntyre on a scrap heap and let him play out his contract but let him go elsewhere, I think that's a big mistake on WWE's part, because this guy's not only over, he's a draw. He's a main event draw.
Well, he is a main event draw, Ralph, and I go back into the annals of history because, if you don't realize what history is, you're doomed to repeat it. Bret Hart signed a big-time contract at the time, and then I guess Vince took the contract off the table, and, of course, Shawn Michaels was the guy. Bret Hart went to WCW and the whole Montreal screw job and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the case, but this would be a mistake to let a talent like that. And I get it. WWE, they're top, now, here, and forever, whatever else. If you let a guy like that get to AEW and those creative juices start to work, you never know. That's not necessarily the best thing to do, right, Ralph?
Exactly. But you know something. Drew McIntyre could go to AEW and they wouldn't use him right. Because I'm going to say this, like Keith Lee and all these other guys, both of these companies now, AEW and WWE, have too many people and they don't have no idea what to do with them. And the sad part about all this is you got good people that are good wrestlers that you could probably fit into some kind of storyline, and you just don't do it. And both of them are at fault for this. I see it happening all the time. Look at some of the guys that went to AEW and they're still, mid-card, or they're still jobbers and things like that. They don't know what to do with all these guys. They got this third show coming up this Saturday, Collision. And
steal my thunder now. We'll steal that thunder because we're going to talk about Collision coming up on Saturday at 8:00 on TNT.
Yeah.
CM Punk show.
You're absolutely right. Now,
the CM Punk show.
Right, the CM Punk show. Let's go back to it. McMahon here reportedly is back to making remote changes. 1 week he was reportedly backstage for the episode of Raw in Hartford, Connecticut. Then he was not reportedly present for Monday Night Raw in Wichita, Kansas. But according to Fightful Select, McMahon made changes to Raw remotely from his office, which has been the case for much of the year. McMahon has reportedly only been backstage on a couple occasions. The first was Raw after WrestleMania 39, since he was already in town for WrestleMania. And the second was in Hartford, since it isn't far from WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Most WWE talent have said they prefer McMahon making changes remotely rather than being present at the shows.
Yeah.
Why not make no changes at the end of the day and let your top guy like Triple H do his thing? Let him cook, right, Madman?
Well, not only that, the problem here is Vince McMahon reminds me of the old girlfriend you could never get rid of. She'd always find a way to get a hold of you through your friends or stuff, and she'd find out where you lived again and where you were moving to and what you were doing. That's the problem with Vince McMahon here, man. I mean, the guy is like the plague. You can't get rid of him. It's no matter how much time you spend brushing your teeth, you can use the whole tube of Crest, but you can't seem to get that yellow out.
Yikes.
That's the thing with Vince McMahon here.
That is
You need a deep cleaning.
You do. Definitely need a deep cleaning. And at the end of the day, I heard those are not, the most comfortable at the end of the day. And consequently, a lot of the talent seems backstage. They're not comfortable being in front of this man at the end of the day. Right, Ralph?
Absolutely. Because I agree with Mark, man. Vince McMahon needs to, you know what was funny? I liked it when they were publicly owned because the stockholders didn't want him there anymore. After he got away, when he, was done with all these sexual abuse trials and all this other crap. I liked it then. Okay. Then all of a sudden he got slick and he decided to sell the company or merge with, UFC and all this other stuff. If he didn't do that right now, he wouldn't be involved at all because the stockholders didn't want him involved. They said, no, keep him away from the business. And that's what was going on. And Nick Khan and all these other people, and Triple H and Tyson Kidd and all these other ones that are running the show now would be doing it. And, so there we are. I read a story today that Tyson Kidd is the producer and he handles all the women's matches.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Well, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing at the end of the day, and not to have Vince in it. I love Vince and what he did for the business.
I don't want Vince in it either.
I
I
don't
think
know
he's
about
ruining
you,
the company.
Peter, but I'll tell you one thing. When you sign anything with Vince, you better learn how to write with your toes, too, to sign it.
All right, so enough of you, Mark. Let's go to a Collision on Saturday. What are we looking forward to here besides CM Punk, and how good do we think this show is going to be, Madman?
I like it. I'm excited. I mean, TNT, man, it's prime time on Saturday. Like Ralph alluded to, the CM Punk show. I'm excited. I mean, let's put it like this. Regardless if I didn't know the card and I just knew CM Punk, I think it could be more exciting, like Curtis said, in that last hour of Raw. I'd watch this, wouldn't you?
I think you definitely would, because the 3 hours is way too long. Curtis,
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, well, they're going to work. I heard by the end of the year before that WWE and USA Network want that knocked down to 2 hours.
Well, I mean, and you think about it, gentlemen, again, going back into the history here, I mean, when Nitro's downfall happened, when they got that third hour, they used to be 9 to 11, and they go over a little bit. That's one thing. But you go 8 to 11, and you have all this stuff going on. I mean, it wasn't a tight broadcast, and it really brought them down.
Talking at the end of the night in the ring instead of having a main event match.
Right.
Ending the show, talking and beating each other up, and not really having a match. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like the run-ins, and I like the surprises of Nitro early.
Yeah, but not at the end of the night, Peter. I mean, come on, that's the time for the main event match.
And not only that, us guys, we need Prevagen, man. Sometimes us old dudes. And what we need to do is I sometimes will sit there and watch SmackDown live in Spanish and try to figure it out.
All right, so let's go back out to Curtis. He's going to get his third call tonight because I love Curtis. Curtis, welcome back.
He's got a lifeline.
I'm telling you, he does. What do you got to say,
Well,
my friend?
you know what? I was off work today, and my wife is sleeping, and my daughter is sleeping, and me and my wife celebrated our 9-year anniversary.
Whoa!
Congratulations!
Congrats, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right, man?
She put up with you for so long. There you go.
Oh, man, listen.
9 years.
Hey, I think I'm going bold already. But,
Well, I think that's what happens when you get around either the right one or the wrong one. It happens, my friend.
Yep.
It's called old
well,
age.
I was listening to you guys. I'm sitting outside, and I'm listening to you guys. And listen, the women's matches are more interesting to me than the men's matches.
I agree with you.
I love the women's matches.
Right.
And if tell me if I'm wrong, doesn't Vince McMahon seem a lot like Jerry Jones right now?
Yes, he does.
Can't let it go.
He can't. You're exactly right. And I would say this with the Cowboys: in order for the Cowboys to ever win a Super Bowl, in my opinion, Jerry Jones, aka, in my opinion, Skeletor, would have to walk away from that show. He would have to walk away. And that's the same thing with Vince. The dance is over with for you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, but the problem here is, and the difference between that is
Ralph Williams there.
Thank you.
Yeah. The difference between all that, Peter and Curtis and Ralph, is I don't see Jerry Jones groping the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Well, there were some allegations out there now, Mark, about Mr. Jerry Jones. Yes.
Hey, listen, he's in Texas. He's probably got some of those non-disclosure agreements like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he's not like John Moran, okay? He's not like that guy. He's not on social media.
Hey, where did all these guys go to? The school of Wade Boggs?
By the way, Zion Williamson, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, my God.
I mean, look, I get it. Wow. I gotta type. I understand that, but there's a little thing called NDAs out there. Cover yourself.
You know what?
That's a disaster.
Oh my God.
I'm going to tell you guys something.
Yes.
And I'm younger than all three of you guys. I'm 37 years old.
Okay? Awesome.
It's the problem with a lot of these young kids nowadays is they don't grow up with fathers at all.
They don't.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
That's a shame. And as soon as if they do grow up with fathers, as soon as they find out that they're talented enough to make it to the bigs, whether that's baseball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, anything that they do, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't.
Yep.
Nothing is wrong because and God, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna say a lot of their parents who have had nothing, all they see is dollar signs.
That's it. You're exactly right. You're completely right. And we see
Absolutely.
happen in the sports world where you have a parent and he's coaching up his kid who's like, 10 years old, baby Gronk, in an interview.
Yep.
And it's just, I get it. I understand you're excited about your kid. You want to promote it, but it doesn't look like the kid wants to be there. Furthermore, you're trying to force it. And when you try to force it, then there's, there's ramifications, if you will, to that child's life because he may not want to be an athlete for the rest of his life. Look, Todd Moran.
I think Curtis hit it right there.
He's living in Hawaii.
Right. But when he was trying to be a football player, his father was pushing him to those limits, which makes you hate football. Some kids don't be all. And you look at Jokic, he's saying in the press conference, people were laughing about it. There's more important things than basketball, but still he's able to get it done. But even he has the mindset that this is not the end all be all. I kind of wish, like what Curtis said, these kids had the same mindset. Not that there's more important things, but they were actually taking it seriously. They were working on their craft instead of the off the court and off the field garbage.
Well, the late Chuck Noll used to say, "Don't make football your life's work." Well, he said that all the time.
The young parents nowadays, they have like a mind control over these kids.
Yeah,
and it's do it my way and no other way, and it's going to be that way. And for me, I have a son that's going to be 18 in a month, and I just had a conversation with him. I said, "Listen, you're 18 now. Whatever choices you make is up to you.
Yeah,
I don't care what you do." I said, you could like men. You could go fight in the army. You can do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
I don't care. It's your decision. It's your life now.
Right.
I got you to 18. I love you. I will support you. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't go to jail. That's all I care about.
Good stuff, Curtis.
That's all I care about.
Good stuff.
Well,
Curtis.
the problem is there's no role models these days, and they can't grasp on nothing. They listen to friends. The friends have an IQ of a P, so they're not giving good advice. And the problem is if they see dollar signs, they're looking my buddy can bail me out if I get problems, and this is the problem. I'll tell you one thing, guys, and I don't want to swing it this way, but I follow the Pat Riley method. You're a nobody, then you become a somebody, then you become a contender, then you become a division champ, a world champ, and a dynasty. And unless you grasp on to something like that, you're spinning in a world of sharks out there.
Well, the problem is, and I know this because I'm dealing with these younger kids. Is the role models are on social media.
That's the problem, right there.
Social media only shows you what they want to show you.
Yeah,
they show you the good. They show you the good stuff. They don't show you behind the scenes the bad stuff. That's what John Morant's dealing with right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like an Instagram model, right? I mean, they do all. I'm serious about this. Like, you meet the real person in real life, they're not really like that, but they do so many things with angles, and they show you what you want to be shown at the end of the day. So
So, and it traps you into a mindset of, hey, you're going to work your tail off to get there, and then when you get there, it's nothing like you thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Agree.
It's kind of like the Dodgers, a desert mirage.
Stop, Curtis. Appreciate it. Let me give you the Ric Flair. Good stuff as always, my friend. Thanks a lot for the call.
I love this show, man.
I do too. I love it too. Did you guys?
I can't believe next week I'm going to miss you, man. I got an anniversary, 37 years.
Happy
Wow.
anniversary, my friend.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. I'm ahead of Curtis. I still have my hair.
Let me ask you this question. I don't know if we asked this or not because I was throwing this out there to the guys before. I watched the Magnum TA, Dark Side of the Ring. If he doesn't get into that accident because they're pushing him and they're part of Crockett Promotions, and then when he gets into the accident, he's not able to come back and wrestle. But if he doesn't get into that accident, does he first get the push to go against Ric Flair? And with that push, does he stop the push of Sting? Madman, go.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think he does. I really do. I think he gets the push, and then he might stop it in some ways. But boy, that's an interesting question, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about this today. I'm watching.
Yeah,
it.
I didn't think of it all the way that way.
They were trying to promote him because
Right.
Hogan on the other side, of course, with WWE or WWF at the time, was the top guy, and of course, Magnum TA gets the name from Andre the Giant because he looks like Tom Selleck. That's the reason why. But I was just thinking today, the push that Sting got in WCW, and of course, when TA was not able to come back, then they eventually sold it to Ted Turner to become WCW. But the guy was saying, the son of Crockett was saying, look, if we have Magnum TA, more than likely we may not sell it to Turner. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think they had to sell it to Turner in order to compete with Vince and WWF at the time. But I was just thinking, Sting at that point was the guy. He was the franchise.
Yes.
And they did put him against Ric Flair in an unbelievable storyline. But if you have Magnum TA, Ralph, you have Sting.
Yeah. You know what? WCW probably could have done something with both if they had a creative, thing about it. Because Magnum TA, the best time I liked the Magnum TA was when he was with Dusty Rhodes. They called themselves the Jones Boys. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But then, and then he was friends with Dusty Rhodes, and it was a great thing. And Sting, he came up. He was a 4 horseman, and then they kicked him out, and then just all kinds of stuff. The battles he had with Ric Flair. It was too bad he didn't get to the WWE fast enough. Maybe he could have made something up in the WWE. He could have probably even been better because he would have been the man, because Ric Flair was always the man down there in WCW. Hulk Hogan and all them showed up. So, I mean, Sting probably could have done well in WWE at the time when they had the Attitude Era.
Well, and the reason why Sting didn't go to WWF and WWE at the time is because he was so loyal to WCW, and also he wasn't sure how Vince was going to treat his character. And you kind of look at it when WCW supposedly invaded, though all those wrestlers, most of those guys didn't get over, right? I mean, Booker T got over a little bit, but most of them didn't. They got buried. So you can understand where Sting is coming from. At the end of the day, he's trying to protect his legacy. Yeah. He's also knows the people that he's working for, doesn't know the guy over there, David Crockett. David Crockett says if Terry Allen, which is the Magnum TA's real name, had never been in the accident, the future of the NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions, the sky is the limit. With that being said, go ahead and promote yourself, Madman.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on that if I could real fast.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
When you look at The Rock losing $60 million, God forbid if anything ever happens with Vince or he has to sell it or whatever, or, I think the WWE would be in the best hands if they turned it over to The Rock and run it. He wouldn't run it. He would put guys in charge that are capable of running it and bringing it back to the glory days. You remember All American Wrestling, don't you?
Of course I do. Absolutely remember that. So,
I mean, this is what you need. You need fresh blood in it, and I think The Rock would just resurrect it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're ever going to recapture the Attitude Era. That's what I grew up with. That was the golden age of wrestling, and you had 2 wrestling promotions at the time, WCW Nitro, and you were switching back and forth, and I don't know if we're going to get back to that because, their WWE is so superior to anybody else. You're hoping that AEW does something great, but you just don't know. At the end of the day, though, I hope Triple H just runs it. They run with Triple H and Vince steps aside. We'll see what happens. So, Mark, go ahead and give me some final thoughts here.
I love you, brother. You know that. You are turning Tampa on his ear. Ralph will be turning Pittsburgh on its ear next Tuesday. Yep. I'm on WWD BAM 860 tomorrow. We got the president of the Pakistani baseball team.
Wow.
Spending a few days in
Hello, Mark. How are you tonight?
Yeah, he's going to be on there. We're going to talk.
Peter Blake.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Friday, the Pirates will be in Milwaukee. The Giants will be in L.A. We'll be doing those things in XM Sirius. I am so blessed. I am going to miss you next week, Peter. Turnbuckle talk, everything. I always say break all the rules and raise the ratings, my brothers.
There you go. Good stuff there, Mr. Mark.
All right, Mark.
Ralph, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Yes, I will be starting Tuesday, June 20th, 5 to 6 p.m. Beaver County Radio in Western Pennsylvania. You can watch it live on Facebook on Beaver County Radio's Facebook page, their app, and or their website as well. And you can reach me at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. And I just put new Ralph Williams one-on-one out. My guest tonight was Mel Farr Jr.
Nice. Good stuff there. Great stuff, Ralph. Thanks a lot for the time.
And I want to thank Amped Up Sports and Sideline Sports because I'm with both of them right now. So
good stuff, man. Thanks a lot for the time
Thank you.
here on the Evolution. There we go, Mr. Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports. Of course, Jason Powers on Sports podcast. Also, if you love Bucks history, buckpower.com. Paul Stewart does a tremendous job. He'll have that top 100 Buccaneer players in history. We broke down some of that tonight. Buccaneer season's right around the corner. So if you're a Bucks fan, definitely go to that. And of course, the guys right there, Mr. Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg, Pittsburgh's newest radio personality, and the madman himself, former XPW announcer Mark Mancini. And of course, all the calls, especially Curtis, and even the guy who tried to call and didn't get in. Sorry about your damn luck. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And do 3 things for me on this happy
Hump Day
edition. And just to give you an update of the score right now, Rays up 4-3 going into the 7th inning. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for the Tampa Bay sports fan and, of course, fans of the Sports Web, it's your time. Have a great night.